course, CCG players, fans, and folks who just want to listen to me and Carl talk on a Thursday night. Garrett Larson here, Dead Body on the forums and Slack and everywhere else. Coming to you live with Carl Koenig, Crazy Carl,
Happy to be
to
here.
do a GEMPC stream. The GEMPC top 8 against, we got teammates going at it. Brian Fred and Mike Kessling. So we're going to let them know they can get started. What do you think about the matchup we're going to see, Carl?
I think it's a matchup of two best friends who know each other's play style, know everything that the other one likes to do, and are now ready to throw down. And we see Mike throwing up the table first on dark side, and B Fred says he needs a moment. So speculating dark side for Mike, he could be playing anything. I know he likes to play Shadow Collective. I know he likes to play ISB. He's been playing a lot of ISB in the last couple majors. He's been playing that almost exclusively. So,
And we did just see his teammate Charlie Arlinson play ISB yesterday
eh,
or Tuesday, excuse me.
a different
And
form of ISB.
yeah, but I think that wouldn't shock me at all if Mike's on a similar kind of build. But ISB, I think, is a strong deck. If I had to guess his deck, and I don't look at decks ahead of time, I don't know what people are
Mhm.
playing. ISB is something I would have put Mike real high on, but at the same time, Brian knows that.
Yeah,
So
and
like this gets into especially when you get into match play and you get into playing your friends, like
mhm.
how much do you want to
I mean, it's definitely like
go
the
nuts with thinking and overthinking and all that
yeah,
stuff?
it definitely has feeling of Princess Bride and the Cup of Poison, and it's like I know that you know that I know that you know, and so you just play the deck that you're most comfortable with, and it looks like we're started, and let's get to the action.
So let's see what we got. Full screen this. There we go. So they both use a starting effect. That's a good sign. Nothing
No
crazy so
deck errors
far.
yet.
All right, so it
Shadow
is Shadow
Collective,
Collective, and are we
Yoda
seeing
Muning.
Yoda Muning?
Yeah, I had a chance to
All
go
right.
to now Hutta to play in the local there, and I talked to Brian over the weekend. So
So you
he
had an idea
decided,
this was coming?
yeah, he said he was going with deck he felt confident in, and it has a little bit of a twist. It's not starting squadron assignments.
All right. And I don't hate play a deck you're comfortable with, play a deck
Hmm.
Galactic Navy? Y'all are going to make me
Yeah,
zoom in on cards immediately, huh?
yeah.
Unique capital
So
starships. You can play -1, immune nutrition less than one, once per turn. Reveal. So are we going to see like Admiral Yularen and
the Resolutes
I was going to say the
and
Resolute and the other one whose name escapes me right now? That's going to be all
I
right.
don't know that I don't know that we're going to see the other capital. I think we could be seeing some Azure, Angel, and Anakin's being his space. So, but it's
I'm so
interesting.
confused right now when you're talking.
Yeah. So Mike went ahead and he's starting the "You Cannot Hide Forever" and mob points. You'll be dead, and the saber effect for Maul, they will be no match for you. So he pulled Gull, which is pretty much the standard start for Shadow Collective, and then Brian in turn played the Don't Do That Again shield to turn off mob points. So um
And honestly,
get
like I'm curious if I don't think Mike would have been. I don't think Mike would have sacked mob points here. I think he'd have been happy keeping it. Well, I guess you want to get inconsequential. As I say, you're kind of happy keeping that Destiny -1 to or defense value -1.
I mean, inconsequential losses is such a key card for this deck. But
Yeah,
it just depends. We don't know if he's running accelerates and maybe using the bridge and using that as a way to go find your effects. He could be playing security precautions as well as another option. I doubt it, but it's one I've seen in a couple different builds. So,
And security precautions as I just
mhm.
activate one, basically. It's pullable.
Yep.
Pullable activation isn't terrible. Brian did play Rebel Leadership to go get Admiral Yularen, so we are going to see some fancy stuff. And Mike with the went and got the 2-0
Mm-hmm.
from reserve deck, Dryden Study, and then had the bar in hand. Maul to reserve. I expect we'll see Saber on Maul right away, unless he activated it.
It's not the end of the world if you don't put it on him
Yeah,
turn
you're.
one.
I mean, it'd be nice to pop off that quick drain of 2 if you can, but Brian did grab Yularen. He's got the matching effect. Like, I expect they'll go to space right away. I'm just not sure on that. He can do that on turn 1 with 8, can't he?
It is exactly eight. So we just see Maul move over without the saber and pass turn.
And that
Yes,
makes a lot of sense. I
yeah.
don't expect to see, He left no force, though, so Brian gets another Rebel leadership off
Imagine you get General Leia.
right away. That would make sense. Yep.
Yep.
They say he's got to get somebody, and General Leia's probably, there's not a lot of other admirals or generals to get, so let's see where he goes from here. Is he going to pull a. Like, if he Yoda's for system, or if he Yoda's for Camino, he can't pay for the site and deploy Yularen on the ship, but do you want to. Do you want
Well,
to
I think
try and
it's
put that pressure on right away? Like, do you want to
I
force Mike to react to it?
yeah, he's definitely going to be more powerful in space because typically Shadow Collective will run the first light and Forlom Zuckuss to Miss Hunter. But we see him go and pull the 3 to the Nabuthi Palace Generator Core.
Which I like because A, 3 force is always good,
Hmm.
and especially against Shadow Collective, that's going to send like half to 3/4 of Mike's deck to used pile if Brian just drops a bunch of guys with sticks there and says, "Come get me." Like, and he doesn't get the reverse. Like, his Jedi are not going to used, so Mike's going to have to be real careful starting battles there. So we see Camino, we see the Birthing Center. So Brian, they're both activating a pretty healthy amount, and Brian just picked some up.
Yeah, that makes me wonder if he didn't have a Jedi in his opening hands. He didn't love his options. Deploying Leia there by herself didn't feel like a good option.
Yeah,
So,
you weren't deploying Leia.
hmm,
Like your deploy option, I think would have been go to space
yep.
and try and aggressively pursue space, or wait a minute.
So Mike's first action on his turn is to go in and pull Maul Saber because
He must
he
have
activated
activated
it.
it last turn, and
Yep.
which is fine. Like you
Yeah.
said, it slowed him down. He didn't get to lose one to drain for 2, but I
Hmm.
do think Brian might have, even if Brian didn't love his hand, if Maul's sitting there threatening that drain of 2, I could absolutely see we'll go Yularen plus a ship to Camino and pop Coward or Simple Tricks, and oh, you're not draining for 2, Mike. Like, you don't give that away if you don't have to.
My first world, I was playing this matchup at Shadow Collective, and I had Maul Saber, and I was playing against Taco Bill, who was playing Yoda Muting, and I did I'm gonna get a quick cheap drain in, and I top decked my other site, and I looked at Taco Bill and I said, I'm gonna lose this match, and Bill looked at me and was like, I think you are, and he was right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that stuff happens. I mean, you
Hmm.
saw if you watched Charlie versus Logan, Charlie lost one of the Lothal sites on like turn 1, and that was definitely harder for him to do anything on Lothal when he didn't have a free site to run to, and he didn't have a site where Ezra was fully immune. So Mike just draws a bunch, draws up to 15. I think he's trying to bait out the thrown back shield. Like, he's got 6 force. Brian's got 2 active, so he could definitely throw out drop and hit it, but Mike might just be saying, well, let's see if I can get you to waste a shield, and then I'll, use any interrupt and get myself down a card. And I think Brian's thinking about it. Or I think action's technically on Mike. I think Mike might be thinking about, do I draw any more? How much can I do here?
Curious. I wonder what he activated or is digging for. Probably he wants to have an answer to either space or a way to go at
Mike, I'm wondering if he was looking for the third sight. Like, I don't think he really
possible.
wanted to put that gun on Maul. I think he was hoping to find the third sight.
Well, he would have known it was there from when he pulled the saber. So
Oh, yeah, good point.
he probably put it there as just extra protection for eventually when you move Maul over to one of the 2 sites.
And
So
he could have
just
been looking
extra
for Incon, too.
consequence. That's probably the card he was digging for. Either that or the first light. Like those are the 2 that would come to mind.
Yeah, and first light, I don't know. I'd be a little leery of trying to attack in space without knowing you can win.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I think it's about stacking enough forfeit, and also too to make sure you don't lose it. Like you need to know where it is.
Yep. And
because
Matt makes a good point in chat that you can't do anything with 7 cards in hand when Brian's got 12 cards in hand and 17 force. Like, you're not moving Maul alone. You're just gonna play slow and steady. And there's the Resolute plus Yularen. So what exactly do those guys do together? So when Anakin or Yularen piloting immune nutrition less than 5 and your cards at related sites, which is none. So it's got immunity to less than 4 because of Master Yoda. It's got Admiral Yularen on there. It's also got Rey now as a pilot.
with no used pull. So
yeah, but she does still get the Force Pile pull, which is not a bad. Like, she's still good enough to make decks without that used pile pull.
Oh, 100%. Especially with the communing peak and the mechanic there of being able to look and, find one of the cards. It's just, it slows communing down just a little bit. Makes it a little bit more balanced, but Rey is still super important in the deck for just that manipulation. So
Rey is still if you take that line off of Rey's text, she's still an insanely good card. So you see Brian, does his Rey draw. And now he's just picking a couple up as well. And there's Mike playing Point Man. So getting to find that last whatever's in there, and my guess is he didn't want to do that. That might have been what he was clocking so hard on last turn, was doing that last turn.
And he could have been trying to bait Brian into pulling the shield and
I
had
think
his
that's
answer.
what it was, is he trying to bait Brian into pulling the shield. If Brian pulls the shield, he immediately point mans, which takes him down to 14, and he's totally fine with that.
Yeah.
And I think Brian waited on the shield because Brian's probably going to want to play Battle Order. I think of the 2 decks, Brian's much more likely to be able to consistently occupy both theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian grabs Point Man.
Which is interesting
because running Keep Your Eyes Open? Like, that feels like a weird card to be running in a deck that runs Cytor.
He probably just wanted to keep the manipulation of putting 7s and High Destiny back. Because if you think about it, what are the other annoying cards? Jabba's through with you, Lawless Time to add some Destinies.
Masterful Move. Honestly,
Masterful Move is the big one.
Full of Jedi, I might grab Masterful Move ahead of Point Man simply so you can't track around that 6.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 6 can hit your Jedi with Maul. on table. 7 does not, or 5 does not.
Right.
So yeah, Wounded
No.
Warriors, another
Hmm.
Greg in chat, saying
Yeah.
Wounded Warrior. Like, there's so many things.
Right. And
I just don't know that
that
Point Man would be high on my list of cards to grab.
agreed. And
So,
if you're
but
Mike, that feels good because it does let all of those interrupts now have, and unless everyone's subscribing to the thought of every deck has three grabbers, so might as well get this one out of the way.
and that could be, and I don't know. I mean, Brian's in the top 8, so maybe he's a little smarter than us.
Hmm.
But I think I probably would not have grabbed Point Man. There's other cards I think would be more damaging. And I expect Mike will kind of load up here. I would expect to see Shizor with backup. And maybe even a move Maul out there as well, and just, you know, be aggressive with the site. And there's the inconsequential losses, so he likely was able to point man for that. So, and
And
Brian realizes that, yep, that's going to make his life a whole lot harder. So, how does Brian fight in space if Mike's able to do a drop, the first light with guns on it and just grind him out?
well, I mean, I don't know that Brian's first thought is to fight in space. He's probably happy to just satisfy and take his drain of two. Um, he's going to be battling at the 3-2, which has a similar effect as Gaul, except if they hit a Jedi, it's going to be bad. So I
Yeah,
imagine
like I
Brian will be
don't.
digging for his deflection. But we see Kessling force push. So now there's even more cards that he activated, something he really
And
wants. It could be the side or.
now, oddly enough, he force pushed after he deployed Shizor.
Hmm.
Like, that feels like it might have been a minor misplay. Unless you were really just digging for one of those bottom 5 cards.
Right.
And there's the Forlom in ship, who's definitely going to make life harder for Brian. But, like,
Mhm.
can you avoid fighting in space? Because I think you might need to take. You might need to go after Gaul, but it sure doesn't feel good when you can't draw extra and Zuckuss is sitting there. Like, your
I
destiny
mean,
is +1, which is good with Ray, and maybe you just go for the outpower, but that's not a good feeling there.
no, and that's assuming that it's just going to be the Resolute going after. I mean, we don't know the full extent of Brian's space, and we see Mike to play Proxima to the Cloud City site, which gets him the flip. He moves Maul to the 3-2,
So,
and we're going to see Brian take a ping at the end of the turn and Shadow Collective flips back.
so we saw Mike went and got Gick. So I don't hate the go wide here. And Maul to the 3-2 is that's not what Brian wanted. That's a
No,
bad. That's a bad. Going to be a bad day if Brian doesn't have an answer. Basically now.
well, he's
So
got an 11 card hand. He's got 17 cards in his force pile. He's going to have, the Communing Peak plus Ray. And we see
yeah,
Kessling full Battle Order and Secret Plans.
and we see Brian draws from the bottom before he even communes. So Brian knew what that card was
Mhm.
from last turn, I believe, and just said, "Nope,
Yep.
I'm gonna." That's the one I want here. So he's got 16 force to play with, 12 cards in hand.
And we see Qui-Gon Serene
Going
go down in
against
front of Proxima.
Proxima,
Here's the barrier.
I I guess you're gonna eat the barrier, which is another card I would have rather grabbed than Point Man, but that list I think is going to be long by the time we get to the end of the
Hmm.
interrupts Mike plays. But I don't like not going into Maul. Like, unless you have another answer for Maul, that drain of 5 is going to be very bad.
Well, it's going to be
And apparently Brian Fred was running Ezra
well,
because he just gave up a reveal. He gave up a verify, and we see in chat, Ezra, you jerk.
it
Which
depends on which Ezra.
I would
So
imagine
we
it was Spy Ezra. And Brian was like, well, if he plays Shadow Collective, maybe I get a first turn blowout. And, like, that would have
or
been honestly kind of hilarious. Like,
or the other Ezra from Zero Hour has some interesting text specific to Maul. So, you never know.
yeah, I would bet it was Spy Ezra simply because I think he's more generally useful than Zero or Ezra. So Brian
We'll
grabs
see.
the generator. So he
And here
throws
comes
Mace
Mace.
with Maul, and maybe the Yoda, maybe the Qui-Gon was to bait out that barrier.
Hmm.
And now we're going to see a whole bunch of swinging going on.
And interesting enough, Mace's lightsaber came from hand, so he can still Cytor for Qui-Gon's lightsaber to give him some added protection for next turn in case Mike comes back down on him. So,
And I think the fact that he didn't grab that already is a clue that there
oh,
isn't one. And he does not bother battling Maul. He just moves to Gaul, and Maul's not immune to disarm, is he? Are we going to see Ryan?
he is not.
Yeah, we're going to see. I wonder if we're going to see Brian just try and go do something nasty. So, I would be very appreciative if that was the play. Like, I would think that
Yeah.
would be awesome. Although, hilariously, I could absolutely see Mike having it disarmed as well.
Yeah. Taco mentions in the chat that oh, and we do see Ezra Hero the Phoenix Squadron
So,
off of
it
top deck.
is that Ezra, and he, well, may not modify destiny draws. Okay.
Hmm.
All right, that feels like a. And so we see the Proxima pull Danik Jericho and the drains, which means Brian did not have it disarmed to ruin Maul's day, which would have been kind of honestly awesome. Like I would have been,
Yeah.
I would have thought that was hilarious. I don't necessarily like the position Brian's put himself in.
Well, we see Mike, he did the Proxima peak and then he immediately went to the first light, the Shadow Collective search. So he must be looking to get one of the sites out, or maybe now's the time we see the first light hit. Oh no, a gun. Now we have two
Another
guns on
gun.
Maul.
So he showed Danik Jericho. He grabbed Danik with Proxima, and it sure
Hmm.
feels like Danik with the gun and Proxima could do a lot of damage to Serene Qui-Gon.
But we see
That's so
uh
Aura.
right. Um it's interesting that that gun didn't go on Aura, and we see a barrier from Brian.
I'm a little surprised the two guns on Maul because Incon, you can only use the inconsequential losses once per character. So you
Hmm.
can't stack two guns off of there, and unless he's doing something crazy, like that battle's going to end up with Maul and
Yeah,
Mace
because
probably both hit.
yeah, and this is just and we see another barrier.
Brian was like, "Oh, you want to play barriers, huh? I'll show you barriers." And
Oh, that's great.
I'm a little surprised Mike didn't grab that.
Um,
Like, barrier definitely feels like a card you don't want. And we see the gun from hand on Danik, which, yeah, that extra gun on Maul seems like a waste. So,
it makes me wonder if he's just going to deploy someone to the 2-2 and then just move Maul over because you don't want him
or
sitting in front.
deploy him to the 3-2, transfer the gun. and then move him over.
All
Like
options. All
maybe
are
he was
options here.
hoping. Greg Shaw, an impatient man, disarms Maul with 2 weapons. A wise one gets 3. And there's a dude.
Who's going to get a
Here's
gun?
gonna gun transfer,
Yep.
and that's not the dude Brian was hoping to see.
No, it is not. And if Mike is running first strike and
Or maybe that's the dude Brian was totally okay with seeing. Brian had a handful of answers. Like, I think Mike is probably a little frustrated right now with the number of answers Brian's been able to have.
yeah,
Like,
and
Brian went wide and then said, all right, well, you're not touching me. Which is nice, but, like, Brian's still got to do damage.
right.
You know, what is he going to do?
And we see Forlom, Zuckus, and Miss Hunter move over to Camino. I imagine we just see Mike drawing. So, all right,
I
Brian's got
don't.
5 cards.
So, like, if Brian battles at the 3-2, he's just going to hit Dr. E first.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Make a gun lost.
yeah, well, is it lost? And all cards on them are placed in use pile. No, it'll send
Okay,
the gun to
that's
use.
it.
That's, I was going to say, I thought it
All right.
sent it to used.
Thank you
So,
for correcting.
well, I had to go look.
Yeah.
Dan doesn't zoom in on cards and then says wrong things when we're doing
Mm-hmm.
commentary. I'm going to zoom in on cards if we ask a question because
Yeah.
I might not know the answer either. But Brian activates, draws with Ray. I don't know
He
what
did his
he's
communing peak
trying to
first,
find.
so
So he did the communing peak.
there's sorry
There's
about them.
sorry. Who are you sorrying here? Okay, I would
Maul,
have gone for Maul. Yep, I like them all.
stall of drawing a
Well,
1.
that's unfortunate. Huh.
Wah wah.
Well, that was definitely not what Brian wanted to have happen. So now he'll drain for 1 at call. He does get to learn that Mike doesn't have any disarms in his hand, and Mike
And
loses
there's
first
the
light.
first light. We said that in
That's
stereo.
kind of big. Like,
Um, Especially if Brian can piece together some other space to kind of trap that Orlam Zuckus and Miss Hunter. Because if he's running Anakin on a ship, your destiny's gonna be +1.
yeah, like Anakin on a ship could do nasty things, especially if he can take Maul off the table, even just for a turn.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also just to bury first light in case Mike drops like a no escape. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
almost think you have to do something here to bury first light just in case.
Mike could always stack cannot hide forever to pull something special and then use that to get the first light back. And since it's pullable from the objective, it's not like the end of the world that that card is in the lost pile at the moment, but it's not ideal.
Yeah, and it does require Mike to be playing something special, which he might not be because the You Can't Hide Forever pull was always supposed to be inconsequential losses. So
Hey,
he might be only running 2 barriers, or he might only be
I
running 2 grabbers.
I subscribe to the theory that every deck needs as many grabbers as possible.
Just grab everything, and
Yeah, why not?
they can't recycle interrupts if they don't have them.
Correct.
I don't. I don't hate that theory. So, do you think
Watch
Brian
out and
is scrambling a little bit right now, trying to figure out what he wants to do with Mace, given the miss on the swing?
here we see Ezra.
Multiple Ezras?
Yes.
He just sold out completely on Maul, huh? So Ezra to retrieve Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay. I don't even know
I
how
think
to respond to
Brian
that.
you need dudes to sit with your Jedi because your immunity is less. So I asked Brian about this over the weekend, and he said, he retrieves himself. Why not?
And
And
Mike
if he
is thinking the
slams,
same thing, like, two? So, how else does the first
Greg
one retrieve the other
says,
one? I
still less crazy than multiple dark dissensions at Hitco. And Greg, you are not wrong. But if you think about when he told me about this, I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense because he does retrieve. He's another pilot. He's somewhat, and we see a
And there's the
stunning leader.
stunning,
Mhm.
which is big because it theoretically allows Mike to battle on his terms,
Right.
which involve Dr. E and Ponda Baba doing good doctorly things.
Which now, if you're Brian, do
I
you just
think you got to
move
evacuate. Honestly, the
pull
Qui Gon
resistance?
scares me a lot more. Yeah, I think you pull resistance, but the Qui Gon. Okay, I'm not even sure what Brian's doing right now. I mean, I'm sure he's drawing to a blaster deflection or has a blaster deflection to survive the Dr. E shot.
Hmm.
And he's saving. Is he going to save 3 to threaten to do the uh, do the Dr. E shot lost?
Well, he's using the once per game Yoda retrieval to
Okay.
retrieve. Sorry about the mess,
So he's not
which,
saving 3, which also means he's not saving for It's a Trap.
well, interestingly enough, he should be able to activate down to sorry about the mess on his next turn,
And then move
assuming
it and
and get it with
go get it with
Ray. So
Ray.
assuming that,
He's got to have a guy with a saber live that long, though.
that's the assuming part.
Like, I feel like Mike is going to have something to say about it. It did. Oh, no, not Fleet Admiral Gilal Akbar.
There's the
There's the
disarmed.
disarmed on Maul.
Yeah.
And so that costs him the saber, which is obnoxious, the gun, which is actually more obnoxious because it's a gun to the lost pile. Like, it
Right.
stops the gun retrieval or the gun loop. And the Drina 1, which is fine. Like, Brian can't go to every single site.
Hmm.
That Shizor Drain is going to be mildly obnoxious, but it's effectively a Drina 2. It's a Drina 1 and a Pinga 1. And Brian's worrying about the other sites right now.
And
Mike's got a decision to make, though, now, too. Like, if Brian's sitting on a blaster deflection, you really don't want to start a battle. And Brian loses a barrier off the top. And we see
he's going to do the
Proxima
Proxima.
and taking Kira, top lieutenant. So, another gangster. Ability 4
Someone
character.
someone to go down and shoot Ezra, assuming that there's another gun.
Seems like
Um,
a perfectly cromulent idea.
mhm.
So there's the last site. There's Phantom Menace, which is going to make Maul harder to hit, but that's really all it's doing.
Maul's just a dude right now.
Yeah, Maul's frankly, he's power 3 and immune nutrition. Congratulations. Like, Maul is not that scary right now. So Mike says he's just going to spread. I think he decided Phantom Menace is always just a 7 right now, Bill. Like, it's not like he's pulling a
Oh. And we see Dryden come down to the 2-2, pulling a gun from reserve deck.
to fight off Ezra. Okay, like,
Hmm.
I think Mike's just saying, I'm gonna initiate a bunch of battles this turn. What are you gonna do to stop me?
Yeah, he's going to need someone else to go there because Maul doesn't, or Dryden doesn't draw on his own. So,
No, so he's. But he's still got 7 cards in hand and 9 force.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing is, as soon as he hits, or he'll just flip before.
Yeah, he'll
he even
flip
needs
because
to
he
hit because he's
controls
got
2.
Kira and Shizor. So he'll flip and recycle. So he's got enough to battle as many times as he wants. Like,
There's Dengar.
that's another bunch of guns. So there's the battle, there's the flip, there's the recycle. So he's certainly going to battle Ezra. I assume Brian's sitting on a narrow escape or a dodge or something. Or Brian just says, fine, I'll trade you the Ezra I got back for an Ezra.
Draws a 1.
That's not very good.
Good thing he's got more shots.
That he does. Ezra's once per game he can retrieve, right?
Yes, it is once per game.
Yeah, so he can't just do a never-ending loop of Ezra's. That would be a frustrating loop.
And there's the 5, so something
and he
special.
does have the something special. All right, so
I've played Shadow Collective once or twice. I mean, I usually
I
the
know
cards
you
in the
do.
back.
And it's a reasonable card.
There's the they're tracking us to subtract 1, so Ezra will live and not be
Till
shot.
the next shot. No, I wasn't saying something special wasn't in there. I'm just there's no guarantee. It's likely. I mean, it's a good card no matter what. But oh, there's another miss. Ezra is shockingly robust at dodging those blaster bolts. Now let's see.
If you've watched Rebels, you know.
I actually have not. I watched a season or so on an airplane once, but I struggled. My wife didn't enjoy the little bit we watched, and didn't like the cartoons. And
we see
I don't get to watch
drawn
TV without her.
For power and 4, which will crack Ezra's immunity.
And I think based on the power, there's no reason for Brian to reduce that, and he doesn't.
And we see Luke Saber.
Brian has drawn some very inopportune ones.
Yeah.
The solo and then Luke Saber was not good.
Yeah, Mike couldn't manipulate because of Ezra's game text, so it was just straight up what it was. And there's the
Hoojix. Which is fine, but
you might have needed it for the next battle.
Yeah, and you needed it either way. I mean, he was going to take 6. Otherwise, it's more the now Maul's text is back in play for that battle against Qui-Gon, and 3 Destiny is going to be tough to. I don't feel like Brian's running 2 Hoojixes, although that would be a mad. He'll get +3 probably, because Danik will probably shoot as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, he'll get +3 to Destiny, so it's effectively at that point 9-9, and he's just going to lose the 2 Destiny. That +3 is just going to stack the gun. Brian's going to force him to lose a guy here, but is that going to be enough for him to be able to go back after him? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. We have some great comments in the chat from Greg and Taco Bill. I appreciate that quite a bit. So that's why I was laughing and not paying attention. But we see the add to power. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just shot with Danik. You got a good chance of hit. You don't have a bad chance of hitting.
No,
you
so
get the
we've got a
text.
4.
He's only Destiny. He's only defense value 6. I just shot with Danik.
Mm-hmm. So we're up to power 13, and we draw 6.
Ooh.
Which
Mike knew about because he shuffled.
Well, you wouldn't have with the shuffle. A 4.
4. Ouch. Yeah, it's.
And another 4.
And a 4. Yeah,
so right now 14 plus 3.
Danik, cards hit by Danik are power and forfeit -2, so I would have still shot with. So he's going to subtract 1 from that, so it's going to be 27 to 13.
And he'll cover 8, so that's going to be 6 over.
So it's still 6. He would have taken 6 either way. Ouch. Darkseid's going to lose the gun, and then probably
Danik will
Danik?
cover?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Danik I think would be the guy I lose there. Aura's too good against Jedi, unless, well, he just drew an Aura for Destiny, so.
And Brian's getting a little bit of trouble here because you don't have anywhere to deploy Old Man Luke.
Yeah.
You can't put him on the Resolute. You can't shut him down anywhere, and you essentially are gonna have to clear him off a site. And
And I think Mike intended that. That
mhm.
might have been why he put Kira where he did. Like, he's spreading wide and saying, I have the Gick, but also, like, you have to do something against
Brian's
me.
thinking quite a bit. He's probably thinking where to peel because
Yeah.
he knows where certain cards are. He doesn't want to lose sight of where that. Sorry about the messes, but now that we've seen the Destiny's drawn, we'll know it'll be a 5 and
Yeah, and then, but it's a
a 1.
1 on the bottom. Oh, so he was running Master Luke, so he wasn't running Old Man Luke.
He could have been running some combo of them, but yeah, I was Master Luke. I mean, definitely is good to retrieve a saber. And let's see, he lost Blaster Deflection, Best Shuffle, Changing the Odds, a Barrier, and a Jedi Lev.
That's his second Jedi Lev lost, I believe, as well.
No,
I'm 90% sure he lost another one real
yeah,
early.
he did, and I was trying to think. He used the once per game retrieval to get back the.
So,
Sorry about the
Mike,
mess.
I was going to say, is Mike moving them both away or just Dr. Evazan to get the blaster? Just
I
moving
think he
Dr.
wants the
Evazan to
extra
get the
ping.
blaster ping, and I mean, that's a scary sight now.
Hmm.
Like, you're back to 3 shots, all of them kill you, although with Gaul, all of them kill you anyways.
Right.
So Brian's got to do something here. I mean, Mike is saying, I have an answer for you attacking Maul.
I mean, at this point, Maul does his
And it might just
manipulation
be
thing.
Maul plus the Gick. You just go Maul.
Hmm.
Maul does his manipulation, and then you Gick him away. And you've lost 2 cards instead of losing 2 cards to the drain.
Yeah.
And one of those cards is already on table and doesn't hurt you too terribly to lose. Although if
And Mike could be
Brian
running
activates
answers.
down to the sorry,
Yeah.
so
Greg, I agree with you because he could be running 2 copies of Maul. We know he has a Sith Fury. He could be running a Lawless Time to get Maul back, and then you can deploy a Saber again.
yeah,
So,
yeah, it's more you're forcing the use of the Gick there potentially
mhm.
instead of where you have Kira or Shizor where you could potentially need it as well. Like, you spread wide, Brian's shown a lot of guys. There's still a chance you're going to need it somewhere else. So Brian did only leave 3, so yep, there's
The
General
General
Leia
Leia.
against Kira. I think Brian's just needing to retrieve Force too.
Yeah, we know that he activated down to the 5. So, um, does he have anyone else to go with General Leia?
I mean, I don't love General Leia. I guess you just Leia kills Kira, retrieves
Hmm.
1, and it's a wipe. Like, you're fine with that, and then you not battle Maul, or do you just like, I don't understand only leaving 3 there. I feel like 4 would have been the 3 says you're only battling in one spot, and I don't like that. So I think that bottom card is a 1. I think that's the Luke's lightsaber. So you don't
It's
really want to draw that against Maul.
and Master Luke. How
All
about
right.
that? So now he's going to go get that 1.
So, like, with that in play now, wouldn't Master Luke alone against Shizor have been far more threatening.
Um,
If you were going
I
to,
mean,
I
it's
guess you didn't have enough force to.
well, you also can't guarantee that that's not going to have him leave the table, right? You need to be able to hold a site to threaten some damage.
Yeah,
Um, because if
if you
he
don't
draws
have
a
the.
five and or a four, he adds one and it cracks the immunity. So
Well, he gets
it's
no draw against Master Luke. Shizor draws, but that total battle destiny would be
oh,
zero.
I'm sorry, the shot
Yeah, the
from the
shot
gun.
would be bad potentially, but the like,
Hmm.
at the same time, if you've gone a little bit wide and you go, all right, I'm going to kill Kira, I'm going to kill Shizor, I'm going to kill Maul, you start to have some answers. Oh yeah, Luke doesn't draw against Shizor. He just would have stabbed him and called it a day.
And then we see another stunning leader.
Which I think Brian's okay with. Like you go, all right, you're going to stunning leader that, so now he's going to battle Maul, and
And he threw down
probably
General Poe Dameron at the sites that way Mace can live.
yeah, which is fine.
And
But it
it's
also
another
gives him
retrieval.
the ping retrieval with Leia, which is good.
Hmm.
And maybe that was the. Did Mike have the force to grab quite a mercenary? I'm not sure he had the force to do anything to it.
The turn that Brian played it, he did.
Okay,
Because that was the turn that he
you're
had
right
like
because that's he deployed them, and that's again kind of the
mhm.
Mike hasn't grabbed anything yet, which is a little surprising.
Here's probably the first surprising card. You don't it's not surprising, but you don't see sense in Shadow Collective. It's a great card. It's one you normally don't see, and obviously people don't pull the sense shield against it. So
Yeah, and I
um
expect we'll see Brian pull the Sense Shield, although Brian did end up, because he paid to retrieve with Leia, he can't move the Resolute over to stop that drain at Gaul.
but it's a
So
drain of one. I think you're fine
yeah,
staying and training for two at your site for now.
maybe. Like now you're trying to turn this into a race, and you're going to take, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and threaten in theory 2, 4, 6. But
Just
Mike's a couple
four.
cards ahead in total cards. Well, I think the 4. I'm assuming Master Luke survives this battle and Kira doesn't. Or Mike runs Kira away because he's running out of things, although he did not end up having to gick out of that Maul battle.
No, Maul covered it.
So that gives him, again, he can just leave somebody in front. So that Gaul
And
text could be obnoxious, but Mike's only got 5 cards in hand. So
And we saw Mighty Jabba in his reserve deck, so I'm trying to think of the other characters he could have in hand. He could have a Sith Theory,
and he can get a character with Proxima potentially.
but it's going to throw off the tracking of the seven. But that's probably okay depending on what you're doing. But let's just see. So we lose two from reserve. They're tracking us in the escape pod combo.
Brian's only got 6 cards in hand, but I wonder if Brian's already kind of in the I just need to grind this down on differential
Mhm. Yeah, so we see
mode.
Padme and then Odin Nestler from reserve deck. So he likes the six cards that he has in his hand. And
The
another, they're
second
tracking
they're
us.
tracking us. So Brian just said, hey, these are good cards. I'm going to play a bunch of them.
Hmm. And then
2,
a
they're
blaster
tracking us.
deflection.
2 blaster deflections. 2 Ezra's. Brian put Mike
Yeah.
hard on Shadow Collective and might not be able to win even with that. And there's Mighty Jabba into
Yeah.
hand. So that's
That's gonna be two destinies
not good.
there at the site with Kira. We do
Yep.
see the resistance pull.
Are we even going to. Yeah, you're not going to move in front. I think the resistance pull is just to reduce the drain of 2 to 1. There's the no escape to get back Maul.
Hmm.
There's Hondo Zam. Second Dr. E. Dr. E's on table, so he's not doing anything with the second one.
Yeah, Zam was the other character. Django is another possibility.
Yeah.
Probably less likely.
So Mike knows what all his reserve cards in reserve are right now, and so does Brian as he searched for a blaster. I'm not even sure who he would have. Well, I guess probably put it on Kira.
Mhm.
But so he's got 2 blasters on table and 1 in Lost. And there's Maul. I expect we'll see the no
Saber.
match to grab the saber and probably move them in front of Leia and Luke and say, give it a try.
I mean, he can still throw Mighty Java down in front of Leia and Luke as well and get his 2 Destiny. Please.
And just hope he gets to 9 and can,
Well, he's
excuse me,
gonna
force
get
them to kill both.
mhm.
Like that's,
Doubtful.
I mean, 2 Destiny plus the Destiny of Power, like, I don't necessarily hate that play, especially if he's got a gun in hand. Like, if he's got a gun in hand, I think you go that,
Yeah.
I think you go that right away.
Gre- Greg, Mike's
Bill, I don't think they're
playing.
going to see a second no match.
Yeah, you never
I
know.
feel like if you
Combat made
kill,
it popular.
feel like if you kill Maul twice, you just Shadow Collect just says, "Fine, I won't play with Maul." Probably calls you a jerk under their breath. So
It's fine.
seems reasonable, honestly.
I mean, most of the time you're calling someone a jerk for playing Shadow Collective anyway.
Yeah,
Just gangsters and, controlling sites and pings and flipping and
it's
destinies to power. I love the deck.
all the little things, all the annoying little things. So Mike is tanking a little bit here. I mean, they both have a ton of time left. This isn't a real big issue on time, but he's definitely, I think, tanking and probably trying to decide do I just go Mighty Jabba and with Kira and kind of YOLO and hope I take him down because, like, the flip side of that is if Brian's got something like a sorry about the mess combo, because we saw he just plays multiples of the good cards and a sorry combo to go along with the non-combo wouldn't be terrible. Like,
Hurts your destiny a little bit.
hurts your destiny a little bit, but that could make for real bad time for Kira or Jabba. So I guess probably not that much. You'd still get a Destiny of Power. You'd still get a Battle Destiny. Like,
Here comes Ventress.
all right. I mean, you are going to get the flips, so you're going to get the swings. Ventress is solid. I'm not sure I wouldn't do Jabba as well, but
Can you afford him into battle? Because Java's going to be 5?
yeah, I guess if you battle with Jabba, you're not getting anything else. We see the gun move to Voss off Dr. E and Ponda. Okay. I'm not sure what the thought process is with that, but okay.
I wonder if no, you don't move Doctor E in front
No, you
because
can't move
then
in front.
you have the first weapon action. So
Yeah, like I think that was might have been this isn't really impactful either way. So there's the
mhm.
flip. So we're not going to see Mighty Jabba. Are we going to see the recycle?
If he knows his destiny and one of them is a 7, and I think Twerps was another one, so I imagine his destiny's pretty good.
Yeah, they are. And maybe you just say, nope, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I know what my destiny are. I'm going to forego the destiny to power. I'm going to battle, choppy, 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 and or just chop once. And yeah, Asajj only swings once, so it's
Right.
swing
But if
once,
you but if you chop and hit, Ventress will make him forfeit minus
minus
2.
two.
I
Like,
doubt you're going to be able to clear both, but you never know.
yeah,
If not, then you
that's
just move Maul over, and are they really going to battle into it with another character there? Doubtful.
yeah. Or are you sitting on like you're not running Dark Strike in this deck, so we do see the battle. We do see Asajj swing at Master Luke. We get a 5 and a 4, so unless Brian's got something, nope. Master Luke is super hit and forfeit Roost by 2. That does make him what forfeit? So, oh, and then Gaul. No, Gaul doesn't work.
No, Gaul only works on
Makes him forfeit
blasters.
6. So if he draws a 7 for Battle Destiny here, that will still clear both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the swing back at Asajj. We get a 5 and a 3. So Asajj is also hit. And she's forfeit 0, so Brian's going to clear the site either way in all likelihood.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume, yeah, Michael just move Maul in front of General Leia and say, all right, you want to take this battle?
I'm not sure that he needs to move him in front of General Leia, but it's where else do you put him? And then there's a
There's
leadership.
leadership to add. Okay. I'm not
I'd grab that if I were Mike.
sure I see a value in that for Brian. Like, you are unlikely to lose this battle by enough that you needed that second draw, and you're not going to cause overflow
Mm-hmm.
with it. So saving it might have been better, but I don't know when else you're going to get to use it either. And we see Mike saying he should have grabbed that and asked for a revert. Let's see. I mean, Beef Red's a really nice guy, but is he going to give him that one or not?
As long as it's taking to move to the next action, I imagine he's thinking how far in the GIMP chat he has to go back in order
Yep.
to do that.
So, and especially with it getting grabbed again,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see a value for Brian in playing that. Like,
Guarantees the site will clear in case he has a bad destiny, because we know that there could be a few characters left. I mean, we're not
well, but
tracking much.
Maul may have just been just on Battle. Yeah, so I guess a 1 for Battle Destiny Maul could subtract 1 from,
Mm-hmm.
and then, Kira could live. I'm trying to figure out what's going on right now with the. Excuse me. Brian's tanking about the revert, and I wonder if he was waiting for Mike to request it or what. I don't know if they can. I'm not sure you can do a revert until the end of battle. Brian sitting on this, though, is running some of Mike's clock. Like, I don't think the game's going to time out. They really, I mean,
No, and Brian would never do that. That's just not. I
yeah,
think
I
he's
don't think
probably
Brian's
trying to
doing that.
figure out a way to do it, or
Yeah, there's something there. It's. Or did Brian's internet just die? Okay. Oh, Brian had the lock on chat. He wasn't seeing something.
mm-hmm.
Must have been looking for. I had went back and looked at something. So, yeah, just decline any other action.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. You lose Asajj, you lose Master Luke, you lose Kira, and then revert to the start of the battle and do it all over again. Or lose 2 force instead.
It was the two that he used to
Yeah,
swing
I mean, it
Adventurous.
doesn't matter that much.
Mm-hmm.
Brian knew what those were as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we see the revert. And let's do this again. All right. I wonder who Mike's going to swing at.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction. Luke is about to get hit.
That's a bold prediction. Like, I thought the Washington Generals were due, but it looks like you might have been right on that. So, Luke gets hit. Luke's going to swing back at Ventress. Maybe.
I think Brian will probably play leadership first, let the grab happen, and then
Yeah.
swing.
Ryan says he's saving a revert for next game. And yep, that's the 5. I bet we're going to see a
And
clash here.
3. Yeah.
Oh, we're good at this game, dude. So
We're good at memory from 4 minutes ago. You're absolutely right.
that's called tracking. Thank you very much. I knew what was there. I knew what he was going to do. There's the leadership. There's the grab on the leadership. I don't mind the grab there at all. I mean, Mike hasn't grabbed anything yet, and I think Brian's running low on interrupts. He's going to play that Mike cares about.
Mhm.
I still maintain I don't love Mike playing it, or I don't love Brian playing it. I just
I mean, at this point, there's the
there's the
7.
7 for Battle Destiny, so you were going to lose both guys either way. Like at this point, maybe it's what else is Brian supposed to do?
Mhm.
So there's the 4.
I mean, it also gives him more information. It's another card that he can, activate to manipulate.
Yeah,
I don't want.
yeah. I mean, I understand the logic behind it. It's fine. I don't hate the play. I just don't think it was. I think it was a. There would have been a better, potentially better use for it, maybe. So we see the site just get wiped. Why did Leia not go lost? Oh, he
Because he used the
subtracted 2
hut
from
to
the
retract
attrition.
2.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So now I think Mike does move Maul in front of Leia.
Hmm.
Yep. And that's one more reason why I would have held on to the leadership, because it would have been much more impactful right now. Even if Brian is still sitting on 2, like again, that one wasn't going to do anything. Having the second one's way bigger. Although knowing where that Maul is, or knowing Mace is that you don't want to leave 4 and draw that Mace by accident.
I mean, Brian also knew that there was a 7 in there, that it was a possibility. He could have been worried about just the overflow, like the power difference could have been in his mind as well. So getting the second, I mean, there's
Maybe, but
reasons
like you
for
had
it.
so much forfeit. Like if you were going to get overflowed, Leia covers 8. Like
No,
I'm
I'm talking about if it's only the choice of keeping Leia alive
yeah.
With Luke still having some of his forfeit left. So like that's probably the thought behind it is,
I
give
guess,
myself as
but
many outs to battle in and,
if that's the
retrieve a force.
case, I think I wait until Mike adds the Destiny to power.
He wasn't going to. It had to be
Yeah,
from
so
a.
if Mike isn't adding the Destiny to power, then I don't think you need the. Then you're already up in power, and you're not going to need the. Doesn't matter what he draws, you're not going to need to lose Leia.
Fair enough. I'm just trying to
So,
think of reasons why.
yeah, no, I agree. And that's part of this game is figuring out like, okay, how do we do this? And it's. So Brian loses a Hear Me Baby from hand to the objective, so Mike has 18 cards down and 6 in hand. Brian's got 13 cards down and 4 in hand. So Brian has less total life force than Mike has cards down.
Mhm.
That's not good for that's not good for Brian. So Brian moves the card from the top of the force pile to the bottom force pile and then draws it. That was the Sorry About the Mess, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice, but what are you gonna do with it? So we'll see a drain of 2 and 2. I think Brian's got to move the Resolute in front of there's Dr. E and Ponda Baba from hand and the Sense off the top. I think he's going to have to move the Resolute. Like, as much as you'd like that drain of 2, I think you can't give up the drain of 1 right now. And Tentacle and Sith Fury from reserve. So Mike was running 3 grabbers.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian's got one card in reserve. I think it's a 5, which isn't going to kill Maul. Yeah, it should be as quite a mercenary.
Right. Unless he plays Anakin and it becomes a 6.
Yeah, that might be his out here.
Because I'm trying to think of what other characters he could possibly have. I mean, he's probably running a second Serene. We haven't seen a Saber.
He's got
Um,
the other Ezra. He could just play the other Ezra, too. He had the other Ezra in hand. You drop the Ezra so Maul can't mess with it. You draw the 5, and you take Maul out. It's a play. I don't know if I think it's a great play, but it's a play.
mm-hmm.
And like you do all that, and then next turn you're gonna get pinged for 5, drains a 3, and pings a 2. I think at this point Brian's just got to minimize differential. Like it's a how can I make Mike lose as many cards as possible. And there is Ezra. And he says, fine, I'm going to lose Leia and Solo. All right, so Solo will get him the ability to play Blaster Deflection from Lost. Which is, yeah, but that might be all he needs. Although, so you battle here. If you pay to retrieve, you can't move the Resolute, and then you're still eating that. I don't like that retrieval. I would have liked to see the Resolute move and just slow down the drain. Like, yeah, you're only draining for 1 instead of 2, but you're still draining for 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good thing. And you're draining for 2 the next turn, like, but you're not eating a drain. So we see the hit, we see the flip. That means Maul should be able to add a Destiny to power, shouldn't he?
Mm-mm. There's no blaster there.
Oh yeah, it's got to be a blaster. That's the last time I played Shadow Collective. There were other things in play there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I forget some of the tweaks. They brought the power level down a little bit.
Ooh, untimely 1.
Is it though? Like
I
you're
mean,
gonna lose Maul either way. Mm-hmm. Leia's hit. You're.
I mean, you had a chance for an overflow.
Not really.
You drew the 7 again.
Yeah, I guess if you draw the 7, you can make him peel 2. Like
2 cards is 2 cards in a game where you're probably going to win by 10.
Yeah, I guess it would have been good luck, but like the 1 isn't such terrible luck. It's just sort of okay, this happens.
Yeah.
So Brian recirculates. He's going to take a ping from Shadow Collective. And so, yeah, now he'll take a drain of 6, which is effectively half his cards. Like, he's got 12 cards down and 3 in hand, so he's only got 15 cards.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mike
he plays
activates everything.
Solo to play We're Doomed to blank, you'll be dead for a turn.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to lose 4 instead of 6. All right. That's, like I said, Brian is hard in just minimize damage mode. You know, it's played out. So we see him lose the meditation off the top. That could be a sign Qui-Gon's going to come out. Like he might,
if he has it.
If he has the Qui-Gon, that would have been wait till you have the meditation. And he loses a Qui-Gon from hand.
So there went that play.
Unless he's running 3, which seems a little...
I doubt that.
Aggressive, yeah. So, are we just going to... Well, with Solo playing the We're Doomed, he can't solo a Blaster Deflection. He's already lost 2. I don't think he's playing 3. What is Mike doing with all his force, though? Because he activated everything. He's got 5 cards in hand.
He's probably playing Mighty Java to the 2-1. He'll flip. He could move some people over in front and at
Isn't
the
he
3-2.
flipping already with Proxima and Shizor?
Yeah, he was going to flip regardless, but
Okay.
just it's another site to drain
Another
at.
site to drain at. Brian's only got 2 cards in hand.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably pretty
There's
safe. There's the 3rd blaster
yeah.
from
And
hand.
if you have a Gick, you can just move one person over and YOLO in front of that stack, right?
Yep, and he has the Gick.
And even if you move any of those guys over at the 2-2, if he hits them with the saber, they go back to the reserve deck. So you're effectively putting
Yeah,
cards back in your deck. Yeah, just move Dengar
and
and
honestly, like Dengar, at that point you've got like Brian maybe doesn't swing.
oh, you don't swing, you just force the Gick.
Yeah, so then you give him 2 shots at shooting Mace and really making this
And then
bad for
there's
him.
the
There went
Anakin.
the Anakin from reserve. So he didn't have the Anakin in hand. Now,
Unless he's playing 2, but
and that's very possible.
yeah.
But where's he going to go with that Anakin? Well, so he leaves 2 in reserve.
He's gonna sorry about the mess.
Oh, yeah, he does have the sorry, and maybe that's it, is you just
I
sorry
guess,
the...
yeah. I bet
Sorry and
Mike
drain for 2,
probably forgot that he had the sorry. Yeah.
probably. Mike wasn't tracking as great as you and I were when we saw him get back the sorry.
Draws a 1 and
Not a 1.
5? 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, just not a 1. Don't do that to Brian. I like Brian.
Yeah. He
Brian's
knew
good
that it was the
people.
clash because it was quite a mercenary clash and then the 1. Yep.
So, and that sends Dengar to use pile because it's not just during battle that he's hit, but
Yep.
he does get the drain of 2 off there.
So I wonder if Mike loses Dengar from. Nope.
Mike
He
loses a
loses
barrier from hand and twerps from reserve. So
Twerps.
Mike's still sitting on 1 card in hand as well. 14 total in life force. Brian's basically got enough to survive this turn of drain, the turn of Mike's drains. Drain for 2.
I mean, you've got to
Mike's
move
gonna just move a
probably.
guy, or do you
Brian's
move?
going to move the 3 guys and leave Mace alone, or at least 2 of them over to the 2-2. And that means he's going to need a ping of 2 for, yeah, it's going to be 6.
Or do you move Mace and dare? Well, Mike still knows where a 7 is, I think. So maybe you don't just dare him by moving Mace over and getting shot. Yeah, maybe it is. You move the 3 guys over. You move the Resolute. And really, it's just can you get a second turn in by doing that? If you move those guys over, you take a drain of 1, 2. So you drain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you have 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in hand, so or 9 cards total. So if you take that 4 or that 5, because it'll be drains of 3 and then ping of 2, you still are only going to get 1 turn of drains or stuff in. So maybe you just leave the Resolute where it is, and you're going to make him lose 1 more card.
I mean, at this point, it doesn't really save you much.
I do
I
think you
think
maybe
you'd rather,
move the 3 over in front of
yeah,
Mike,
because
but
you need to have more than just 2 of them there because the shot. I mean, you can move
yeah,
Ezra and Solo since both of them would get a Destiny, but if you move all 3 over, then if the
yeah,
one other card that you have is leadership, then you can play both and clear the site. Maybe. I mean,
yeah. I mean, well, if that last card in your hand is leadership, I don't know how you end up with enough with the 2 force to play it plus 2 force in reserve. You don't have enough there to. I'm not sure if you have enough to get there. But
3 to move over leaves 3 in your reserve deck, 2 to
leaves
play, and
5, and
yeah.
then you lose 4,
Hmm.
which is 3 off reserve and 1 off force, and you still have the 2 to play. You have exactly the 2 to play it and 2 to draw 2.
Yeah, but the 2 you're drawing are bad, so that's a dumb idea.
Yeah.
Assuming he even has leadership. So sorry, everyone who's still listening and had to go through that, thought process.
Yeah, and I guess he could walk lean back a card. It
Yeah.
doesn't change the math on the 5/5, though. He still ends up down 1 force more than he can do. So it's really, does he have another dude in hand? Like, if he's got a character who draws Battle Destiny in hand, I don't know. Like, you put down, you just drop Anakin somewhere and then just not move?
I mean, I wish he would have saved Qui-Gon. He could have dropped him in front of Shizor because then he doesn't control. The gun goes there. He obviously can draw against him. He can play meditation from Lost.
Yeah, like,
I mean, you could have even put him in front of
could have put him in front of Aura and Proxima, too. With the meditation, you're getting a +1.
I mean, the worry there is with Gaul in the text, if he fires with a track 7, he's just gonna kill him anyway. So that's probably
Well,
why he didn't do it.
yeah, and Gaul is just while you occupy, so he couldn't just move over
Hmm.
and prevent that.
Yeah.
And Brian used Ray, communed for Ray, so now he's down to 5 force down, although he's got a second one in hand, and I think he's got to just do I think he's got to move and reduce and hope.
You know who'd be really good right here? Play a Rebel Princess.
Yeah, Leia Princess would be really strong. And there's the walk lane to retrieve one, and I think Brian's just trying to hardcore go in the tank, do the math, figure out if he can get anything going. Because, yeah, Leia Princess to the West Gallery would be big. Although he spent enough force, like, I don't think he can do that now. She would have been
Mm-mm.
good. And then
Oh,
move some guys over.
yeah.
So, and I think, yeah, now you're going to see, I think you've got to see, maybe it is all 3 of them. Or just Mace, alright. So he says, I'm going to put you on I'm going to make you get to that 7. So, because I don't think he shuffled. I think Mike still knows where a 7 is.
I think he has to activate 1, 2. I think he has to activate 2.
So, I don't hate that just because it does, the drain is 2 there either way, where you move Mace away, you're not giving up any drain damage.
Mm.
But I don't see Mace surviving this battle. Like, and maybe that's the goal, is just you move Mace over, you block a drain of 1, you block a damage of 1, and you take
Mike's good at this
5
game.
this turn.
He knows where that 7 is.
Yeah.
I thought he needed to activate 3.
And he did have a leadership in hand.
All
So
right, so now I don't feel as dumb for walking through that exercise.
he apparently had 2 leaderships in hand.
It's a good
All right.
card.
It's a great card. It's just, I don't know why we were running that many of them. I guess you
Well,
had
for a
General Leia, you
resolute,
had General Poe, you had Yularen. It's just he had no way
yeah,
to go get them.
yeah.
So Mike is going to
Oh,
shuffle his deck, though. All
yeah.
right.
We knew the Dangar was there, but then the bottom 2, he'll know what they are. I think one of
Yeah.
them is a 7.
Well, we'll find out. If he battles, one of them's a 7.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't battle, I don't think it's a 7. I mean, Brian's got 1 card in hand. Is he really still sitting on a blaster deflection just to? That'd be kind of
That
nuts.
would be something.
Like, I expect. Yeah, I forgot about the Shadow Collective ping. Like, the math on that. Brian's going to get to drain this turn. And then that's
Yeah,
going to be game.
He's going to get a drain of 2, and yeah, there's the moves.
Yeah, and that might be all he moves.
No,
Oh no, he says fine. I'll give you drain of 2 and a drain of 1 because I think you got to move away at call. Yeah, so he'll give up drains of 3. Mike's got 2 cards in hand, and then it'll be 1.
so he'll win by 12, 13.
So 10. I mean, it'll be. So he's got 13 in life force. He's going to end up losing one of those cards.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, he'll win by 12, assuming nothing insane goes on here. And I can't foresee anything crazy going on here. I expect, honestly,
Yeah,
Brian will drain and then draw.
drop. Yeah.
So, just to minimize the loss pile as much as he can. Yep, there goes the Dengar from hand. There goes the Gick from hand. And drain for 1 at Gall. There goes the random card. Doesn't really matter. Dark Time from reserve. Mike's got 12 cards down.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way for Brian to stop anywhere near the damage that's coming through. And yep, Brian's going to draw up. So Mike will win by 12 with 24 in lost. Brian is down 12 with 35 in lost. Yep, and they will be playing a second game here. I believe the plan was to play the second game right away.
Yeah.
Looks like they're going to take a quick 5-minute break, so let's do this while I've got folks on here, and I'm going to do some adjusting of things to update the text. Let's throw out a trivia question for folks. So we're watching the GEMPC here, and this is the top 8 match for the GEMPC. While I adjust the game text on who won and differential info, and the first person in chat who can give me 6 of last year's top 8 for the GEMPC will get an AI pack from the esteemed Jared Napolitano. So 6 of last year's top 8. Nice try. Chris is like, oh, are they going to ask about colors? I know this one now. Nice try, Chris. So, but yeah, 6 of last year's top 8 from the GEMPC for a GEMP AI pack. And Carl, why don't you see if I'm curious if you know who any of them are.
Well, I know Kessling was one, and I know Tom Struthers. I know Batmouse and Charlie. This is where things are gonna get fuzzy. Stubley? Was he in there?
So I'm going to close this just so we can keep an eye on when the next game pops. So we see Bill, who says Tom, Mike Kessling, Batmouse, Kieran, Connor, and Shaw.
Greg was another one.
Tom, Kieran,
I wouldn't have remembered
Greg,
Kieran.
Kessling, Batmouse, Connor. That is it. The 2 that... And you got Charlie, who was also in the top 8. The one name nobody said,
Joe?
Joe Olsen, who was in, who just played earlier in the top 8 against Matt Harrison Trainer. So congratulations to Bill. You got a GEMP AI pack coming. Looks like we're still waiting a minute, and Dan was nice enough to give me some filler here. 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like we have 6 previous GEMPCs that happened. The first person not named Bill to give me 3 of those 6 and the years they won. You get another, we'll throw another Gemp AI pack out there for people. So
I wasn't born in this game before, the last Gen PC. So
all right, so I'm trying hard not to make AJ jokes, and
leave my son alone.
so AJ is awesome, and he enjoys the jokes and isn't bothered by them. So it amuses me to make them, as he and I will be driving out to Indianapolis together
Have you
on Thursday morning.
have you decided what book on tape you're going to listen to on the drive down?
Not Phasma. I don't know yet,
Yeah.
actually. I gotta download, see what my options are from the library, and download a couple of them and tell AJ to pick, and then yell at him when he picks Phasma and tell him no, because that was not a fun book.
hmm
I'm sure it'll be some sort of Star Wars book, because why not? Like, that's the way we do things. And I'm sure it will be good, and it'll be a pleasant drive. I mean, AJ makes for an excellent driving companion. I have a sneaking suspicion he's going to try and get me to throw on Pandora and see, since I teased him about how much he'll hate my music tastes, we'll see if he sticks with it or agrees that it's for old guys and he doesn't need to listen to it anymore. So we'll see. I don't see anybody in chat trying to go for the answers. 3 of the last 3 previous Gem PC winners and the year they won gets you a Gemp AI pack. And Bill's like, I got my one, that's enough.
Well, he also had a very nice comment in there for Bill Pittman. So
So I'm not sure why, because I don't see Bill even in chat. Like, Bill's not saying anything to him. So Bill does usually win those quickly. It looks like Mike's got the game up here. We'll see when Brian jumps in.
we could be waiting a minute if Brian is doing his normal method to recollect himself in between games. But
So Bill said the
for those
reason
of you
he
that
was talking
know, that
about
you know,
Pullman was I said the next person not named Bill would win something. So Stimpy
yeah,
was knocked out there. The game is started, so we got the rematch going on now. Brian's got to win by 13, so this is going to be tough.
no idea,
No
no idea.
idea. And just Tatooine. Tatooine combat
Tatooine's,
readiness for the
yep.
palace. Okay, I'm intrigued. You have my attention. There's Jabba Saban. There's Jury Juice. And mind tricks don't work on me. All right, so Brian says no idea is not going to get one massive beatdown in.
So that means he can go to the beach once.
Yeah.
And no idea what the normal start of insurrection, 10 men and walkling. So
Yeah.
I imagine this is a take on the SSA decks that were all the rage last year. Hayes played a version of this in the finals in Atlanta. Um,
Yeah, this
so
is
this is mains and toys and all the fun
yeah.
stuff, and everyone's going to be activating 75 cards or turn
Yeah.
2. So
They're both going to activate 110 force on turn 2, and that's okay.
And we see Mike play Where's Han to get Han chewing the Falcon V. And
So
we see some shield pulls.
Brian
And
did not start. So a lot of times those SSA decks were starting. You can't hide forever remote points to get Rendley along with Jabba's Haven. Because he starts the Tatooine system, looks like Brian says I'm content with just getting Nal Hutta and still
yeah,
having two
because
systems.
that was the thought. You just wanted two to bounce around. Just the Tatooine system's a
Yep.
bigger liability, being a drain too.
Yep. And the jury juice to go get the cantina and again start doing the doing stuff like this is going to be a slog for Brian to win by 13 though. Like
Hmm.
no idea is traditionally pretty good against mains anyways.
It's resilient for sure, and it'll be interesting to see what type of space Brian's running in the deck. If activating 11 Force does, I had a league game where I ended up activating the Tandem and the Beach turn one, and it really slowed me down. So like weird variants can happen.
Yeah,
But
maybe that's
we
what
see
he's
what
going
you're
for. He's like, I'm just going to make you activate 13 force, Mike. 14 force. Like, sure, you can throw everything in your hand down, but are you going to find what you need to find?
and he had the Joss in hand, which, you wish you could pull it, but fine. You get
Yeah, you
your
get your jury juice ball,
mhm,
you'll take it, and you've got the Jasper guarding that drain and starting to deal the damage right away. There's the tentacle to slow down barrier, and again, just take a card out,
mhm,
which is more important when you need to win by a certain when you
yep.
need to just lose by a certain amount. Like right now, it's a good grabber. Like Brian wants grabbers. Brian definitely wants to grab Sabotage after watching the Nathan Russell top 8 match where he played Sabotage
Hmm.
4 or 5 times, I think. So,
Yeah.
in that match, the top 4 on that side has already been set. It's Nathan Russell versus Matt Harrison Trainer. Um, the winner of this will face Logan Pedig in the other top 4 match. I don't know that, obviously, this Logan and the winner of this hasn't been scheduled yet. I don't believe the MHT versus Nathan has been scheduled yet either. Um, hopefully they're able to do it before Indianapolis. Like it'd be fun to see that done. And I'm not sure anyone. Well, I guess Brian is going to be in Indianapolis, and I don't know if Mike is.
Mike will be there. I
Mike will
mean,
be okay.
WrestleMania.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
WrestleMania is
That's
going to
right.
be
We were
there.
going to watch WrestleMania.
Hmm.
So, oh, nice.
Mike
There's Mike throwing down a docking bay from hand in reserve, and we see in chat Jared says he fixed the Vader's Machination bug from the GEMPC the other day, so that'll be nice to see that fix
and we see
go
Luke
in.
with lightsaber go down in front of the Joss at the cantina, and the clock is back to. I thought it might have been on Brian if he was
Oh,
debating a barrier, but it's back to Mike,
I mean, Brian might be sitting on a
a
stunning
stunning
leader.
leader. Yep.
I don't know that I love that play from Mike.
And here comes the beach,
Like, if you catch Brian without the stunning leader, you can
which it appears
maybe
he
do some
did.
overflow. Yeah, and maybe he did. It feels like a
So
low
he draws a
reward,
four, and the
possibly high
Joss is
risk
going to be at
play.
defense six, and he draws a
So
one,
he
so he misses.
misses.
Yep.
He gets a force back if he wants to pay for it, which he may. Yep.
Sure. You get seven force. Why not?
Yeah, that's
But I
so.
mean, for Mike, it's a guaranteed clear because neither one have
Yeah,
immunity.
well, it's a guaranteed clear because he didn't have the stunning leader.
Hmm.
Like, if Brian would have had the stunning leader, I think Brian comes down real hard on Luke.
Yeah.
And that might have been the play. Like, and maybe Brian didn't have the cards in hand because if he had them, he might have not drawn there and just said, "Fine,
Yeah.
I'll lose Dejas, and you can, Luke can proceed to get battled." But like, that would have been my concern with that move, is if Brian had a way to stop Mike from starting that battle.
Yeah.
Luke's not that scary if you're like, oh well, I've got 16 force. Here's Maul. Here's more power, and I'll hit you and I'll overflow you. Like, I'll force you to have open-handed that Hoojix. And maybe Mike did have the Hoojix in hand, and that was why he felt comfortable taking that risk.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that was a risky play. It's possible. Obviously, we can't see their hands, so we don't know. Sometimes you hear me talk about plays like, oh, maybe this wasn't a good idea, and they show they had the goods, but we have to kind of talk about what would happen if they didn't have it, because if they had it, you're going to see it and you know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So
Drawing Arca, I mean, he'll know, and he could use the once per game audience chamber pull to pull her there to start his retrieval. It's one less Luke, and he's
and
using his once per game Jabba's Haven to get Dejas back.
that feels aggressive, but okay. I guess you throw Dejas back at the cantina again and say, fine, let's.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah,
We'll just
like,
start over.
we'll get my jury juice too again.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I wouldn't necessarily hate the let's throw Erica down at the audience chamber and force Mike to. Like, the downside of no idea is if you're going to come at somebody, you've got to do it with 2 or 3 guys, because your guys are individually all kind of bad. And that makes it harder to come after Brian just saying, all right, I'm going to put down one guy that draws Battle Destiny, that's power, 5 or 6, whatever, and has some forfeit, and I'm going to force you to try and do something.
Let's see if he's playing the Jabba's Palace Woo Her. Let's see it.
He is not, as we see. Mike gets the verify.
Well, we don't know. It could be in his hand. He's probably not playing the card.
It
has its moments. It's just not in this deck.
And we do see the Erica to the audience chamber.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably... I can't envision that Mike is playing 2 Luke with lightsabers. If he's running a second Luke, it's probably Space Luke.
Yeah, I mean,
for the retrieval.
Mike could use his walking pull to get Unita and get that Luke back if he really wanted to, but I think that's probably not the line he'd want to take, but it's an option.
Also feels like again, that feels risky. Like, and now Brian's drawing more cards, like I was talking about, Luke by himself is not that threatening if you're Brian and looking at, I'm activating 16 plus force and can drop, can just rain my hand on him.
It could just be too, Mike had all red cards in Luke, so he's like, turn the damage off, let me draw some, and stabilize. So.
Oh no, for sure, it could. There's very valid ways that was a good play. It's just there were ways that could have gone real badly too. So we'll see what Mike does here, as he did draw some last turn. He put out the beach, and we see the Imperial detention from Brian, which is really just, we'll force him to pay for Leia, or pay for Rey. And yep, Mike says, fine, I'll set myself up here. Throws down Taidu, grabs a card from used, which there isn't a used power. Oh yeah, the one card he used. That's so. Now, is he going to go to space quickly, or is he going to go to space very slowly? He gets the flip there. Slow. Yeah, I think, again, there's no reason to go soft and give Brian any sort of an opening.
Yep. And then here's the indoor commando troop down to reinforce the beach,
Yeah, and we'll just see Teddy grab Stardust,
move over.
move over where you've got Jin, and now are draining for 3 and pinging for 1.
And then Leia's resistance
There is the
transport.
resistance transport. That'll I'm sure go get Ray for 2, and Ray will grab a card from used.
That was the reason Brian pulled detention.
Yeah. Oh no, that was
Yeah.
a very valid reason. Brian might be figuring. He probably doesn't need to grab Battle Order because odds are Mike's going to play it this turn.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his grabber out. He's got Secret Plans out. There's not really another interrupt or another shield you're necessarily going to need. Maybe Resistance, but you've got an extra shield, so why not? And I'd be shocked if Brian's not running a Cold Feet or a Turn It Off to get that extra shield if he needs it anyways. So I do feel like Mike needs to do more in space than just Ray on the resistance transport. That feels like
Here's
not
a
enough,
card.
but
The card that I've been debating is the two of, and that's Willard. He's so good in this deck, just being able to cycle back some of your cards. So,
well, I mean he's 3PO.
yep.
He's an older, significantly grayer 3PO. So, but in a deck that runs a lot of low destiny cards, being able to cycle back the high ones is very important, as we do see the battle plan play from Mike. He says, all right, Brian, you can have it, but you're going to pay for it. And I doubt Brian will drain this turret. I'm sure he may do the retrieval with Erica, simply because getting a 5 back never feels too bad, even though he's going to have to pay for it with aim high. And there's Jerron Webb, who's just forfeit fodder, but works well as forfeit fodder, so.
And he makes subtracts from the Battle Destiny, so it's harder to, clear.
Not without a rebel leader up there, he doesn't.
Oh, that's right.
So him and Lieutenant Cavill were the same. What were the counterpart cards? So Brian's gonna have 20 force and 12 in hand. Does he have an answer for space?
I would not see him go to the beach. He's probably gonna try to set up himself, knowing that Mike has HCF in hand.
Yep.
So he's gonna drain at the Cantina because why not?
Yeah. Drain for 2. He loses Leia Organa, V, and a second Leia's resistance transport.
And he's gonna drain
for 1.
That feels gross.
Yeah, that's
I mean, you got to
says
do
I
it,
can't
I guess.
come after you. I don't know. I don't love that.
I mean, I imagine he's probably going to play his own space and try to reinforce it as much as he can, whatever it is.
Yeah, but what I mean,
or another guy somewhere to satisfy. Yeah, there it is. So that way he can satisfy and pull resistance.
Resistance, yeah, and resistance he wanted to get out. It's more who's he going to put on Zuckus, because Mike's got the Honshu and the Falcon. Now, granted, you've certainly got barriers that can go do stuff, and Brian's grabbing a Jabba's Palace site. He must have the Droid Workshop. Yep, for the cheaper
4-LOM for
4-LOM.
1? 2.
Yeah, 4-LOM would be 2 there.
Yep.
I mean, Dan, if I had Commander Willard's hair, I would be stoked about that. Like, that is a silver fox right there. He looks good with gray. I would aspire to have that good hair when I reach his age. So,
I mean, I'm just glad that his parts aren't showing.
And honestly, like, of all the people around here, Brian Fred, who's in this game, is actually older than me. So I don't know why we're throwing old jokes at me. I'm not teasing AJ about being young. I'm not teasing B Fred about being old. So Logan's still fair game because he's young enough. I think we're up past his bedtime, so he's not listening. Brian's just going to
Plays the
spread.
Emperor. Mm-hmm. Emperor to the
Throw
lower
down the Emperor.
passage.
I imagine this means he's sitting on a barrier to stop Zuckuss from getting Hanchuing the Falcon jumped. Like,
I
that's...
would saving two. I imagine he's going to save 2 force so that way he can bluff a stunning leader at the cantina
Yeah.
and
You're
a barrier.
bluffing the Stunning Leader or the Barrier, and you may not even be bluffing them. You might have them.
Yeah.
So,
And Mike can just ignore Zuckuss Miss Hunter and go to Tatooine and drain for 2 there.
yeah. Like, Mike's probably... But, honestly, Brian might not hate that. Like, I feel like Brian's got some other space answers, and once you commit Hanchuing the Falcon, you give Brian a chance to say, all right, here's my answer, and go nuts. And we see the Force Lightning grab. We see the Van Den Willard cycle. Um, we're still in activate phase, and I'm not seeing resistance yet.
The clock's on Brian,
Yeah,
so yep.
there it is. That's like, felt like the card he really needed to play. Just, he's going to take 4 this turn, which isn't bad, honestly. Like, that's the thing, is if you can just ignore No Idea and you're not taking the damage and you just spread and get your drains in, you've got a chance. Because No Idea has to put a lot of cards on table, and 4 a turn isn't terrible, especially when you're retrieving one with Erica.
Yeah, but I imagine he's also going to start moving some spies, so it's going to be 5.
Yeah, you got to imagine. But even at 5, you're still not too much, as Brian loses Maul Strikes, Force Lightning, Double Back, and No Escape to the
The
drains.
no escape could
Plus,
be big because he already used his job as Haven pull retrieval to get to Joss back. So if he can pick, if he can go after that Zuckuss at the start, it's going to be really hard for Brian to stay alive in space.
yeah. But I think Brian's got 10 cards in hand. I imagine he's probably got another match. The game 1 matchup was Shadow
The
Collective
HCF
versus Yoda Muning,
and the
and
barrier.
Shadow Collective won by 12.
We see Houndsry and the Falcon and a barrier come down.
Yep, and Mike does not grab Barrier. Mike didn't grab Barrier last game either, and Beefred used it 2 or 3 times. There's Ezra in front of Dejas. And, okay. And Mike draws a card with Ray. You gonna send somebody else with Ezra, or is this just you gonna go for the battle and try and wipe them both? And
Hope for the stunning leader, or
yeah, I mean, you probably aren't like, if you just trade Ezra for Jasper, you're probably okay with that. I mean, from Mike's perspective, he's really okay with that. I don't think Brian would love it, but at the same time, like, Brian can put another guy in the cantina. How many times can Mike drop one character and clear you? Because he's already lost to Leia, he's already lost to Luke. He's going to lose Ezra here if this battle gets started.
So he'd have Corrin, he'd have
Cheer
Chirrut, and that is all.
It is Ray and Jerron Webb at Scarif on the Resistance Transport. Luke with lightsaber was played on turn 1, and we haven't seen another Luke since. So there's the battle at the cantina.
The clock is on Brian, so stunning leader?
Stunning leader,
there it
yep.
is.
And now, if I'm Mike, I think you have to move Ezra out. Like, I think you have to force him to come at you, because that's not a good spot for Ezra to be in. If Brian just says, I'm going to empty my hand and I'm going to fly away from Nal Hutta. And Mike says Garrett's wrong and starts drawing cards. Fair enough. So,
I think this confirms your suspicion that he had the Hujix opening hand, and that's why he
yeah.
felt good going down with Luke turn one.
And that would make a lot more sense. Brian says, I need all of my force. And he lets Mike activate 2 with Ezra.
That's such a nice thing about Ezra. It's like you can decide that he's so generous. It's
Yeah.
quite nice. Except when
So,
you really need those two.
and we'll see a couple drains of 1 come through. Here's a double agent off the top. And drain of 1 with the Emperor. There's Wedge, Red Squadron Leader, off reserve. I don't think that's a super impactful card in this matchup. Like, I don't think the space battle is going to get. I don't think Brian's going to go anywhere in space that Mike can put Wedge with another Red or Rogue Squadron pilot.
Um,
I mean, if he gets him on Rogue One and goes
well,
after him with, like,
it's the running because if he, as you just said, Rogue One, Brian just said, well, that's special, LOL.
so that means he didn't have what he wanted, but he does have the force push to. So I don't love the force push here. I think I would have I don't know what 1 card he's looking for, but I think I would have retrieved with Erica first.
First, I was just about to say, I think this getting back the stunning leader than retrieving a dead 5 is more important, but
that's my thought process as well. Because I think you're still going to retrieve. Like, you need the force right now, but getting back a 5 you can't possibly use versus a 4 that absolutely is live everywhere. Is
unless
probably worth the marginal risk that the 1 out of those 18 cards that you're looking for is bad.
Yeah, and there's the barrier on Count Dooku. And I wonder if one of the cards he force pushed for was First Strike, just to up his retrieval.
Yeah, and that would be a very reasonable card. Honestly, the barrier there is, I think Brian's super happy with that.
Because he's still going to battle, especially if he has First Strike.
You're fine saying, fine, I'll battle with Jas, I'll lose Jas, you'll lose Ezra, and I still have a drain of 2 there. Oh, the barrier on Applex, the killer. I think Brian was hoping he baited out 1 barrier and could hit the other.
That's fine. You just move away.
Do you, or do you stay there and YOLO it?
You can't YOLO it.
You're drawing 2 Destiny.
If he comes down...
if he's got another ship and
all he has to do is come down with the Tantive.
Yeah.
And 1 dude, when you have enough pilots, you have to move.
Yeah, unless you've got another. Well, so
and that's the drain of 1 as opposed to fighting over Tatooine. That's the one you have to maybe do a little bit different calculus on.
So there's 4-LOM virtual, so Brian can start cycling cards as well. So Van and Willard definitely better looking than 4-LOM. A little more regal, a little more mature. So there's the first strike. So Brian is just emptying his hand here. And yeah, so this will be Battle Ezra, and that might be why the Erica retrieval like that didn't matter, because he knew he was going to get back that stunning leader either way. So then the marginal risk wasn't worth it.
Yep.
So you get back the stunning leader. Mike's got to lose a card. Mike loses Cheer-It. Okay. From use pile, so he knew where Cheer-It was.
No, he didn't.
Didn't he? He used...
that was one of the force he used for the barrier.
Yeah, that was one of the barrier force. Never mind.
Yeah. He Willard at the start of the turn, I believe. And there's the 5 that he retrieved last turn.
I'm just looking in chat real quick and see. Yep, there's the barrier. Yeah, so that was... There's a 5 for Mike, which is fine. I mean, Day just had no immunity. You're just going to wipe him out either way. You're fine with whatever happens there. Yeah, this is a Dark Side Mains and Toys.
Jared, you were super happy that it wasn't a rebel so he could retrieve. So
Yeah. Oh, Brian's super happy with that. And yeah, I think you're
yep.
right. You move Zuckus here. You draw one and you pay for Applek and call it a morning right now. Yep. So now you face strains of. I think Mike's got to move a guy because Mike's got to start humping the damage as well.
Yeah, so it's 1, 2
So that'd
from
be one,
space, 2 at the
two,
beach,
three,
5.
4, 5. Yeah.
Call it 6 when he does, and there's Walkling to retrieve. Oh no,
Ezra.
he's using it. No, he's using it to get
Oh.
projection.
All right. That makes sense. So
So then it'd be 5 to 5.
yeah. Which Brian's got 32, 36 cards right now total to Mike's 30 total. Mike's
Hmm.
got 18 down and 12 in hand. Brian's got 32 down and only 4 in hand. I think Brian's probably low on things he can deploy this turn. So where do you put the projection now for Mike? Do you throw it at Palpatine's
Cantina.
site? You
No, the
throw it at the
cantina.
Cantina? If you don't think you can contest it again because Dooku's pretty scary there, yeah, that's probably
Hmm.
the play. You give him the drain of 1. Make it a drain of 1 instead of 2, so if you take him out of
Yeah.
space, he's got to pay for more drains. I can get behind that.
And now we see Brian use the Emperor to get a second copy of Force Lightning because he lost one earlier, and he'll use that to start cycling with Forlom.
Probably. So, yeah, I think he's got it. His hand is so low right now.
And Brian did use tentacles once per game to shuffle Mike's reserve deck because he may have been trying to track something with Willard and threw that off a little bit. So here's the
Well,
drain of
once he
1.
paid 3 to use the
Oh,
paid
that's
3 to
true. He
walk
wouldn't
light, it
have
was off
known.
anyways. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we see the dark time combo, which would not have gotten rid of the projection because because Mike's
Hmm.
got battlegrounds on table. We
Yeah.
see
So
the Maul strikes and stunning leader, choke Vader, and Stardust gets an Emperor Palpatine. The Palpatine he's totally fine with losing.
and Mike doesn't move anybody to the vault, which is we'll see where he goes with here with 13 cards. I imagine he's probably going to try and stack a ship
Yeah,
in front of Zuckuss and leave him nowhere to run.
and honestly, like Brian doesn't have any way to stop if he comes down on Zuckuss. Like I don't know what he's got that really can come down on Zuckuss, but I think you're right. It might just be a shuffle around and put ships everywhere. So
I mean,
Brian's got to
it's
make
the
a stand.
Tanev, it's the Tanev or Rogue One.
Yeah. So we do see the projection on the Cantina, and now we're waiting to see something come down. Maybe. There's Melshi. I like putting him in front of Erica. Trying to, you cost America, you cost the retrieval.
Hmm.
So, and gets Taidu, so he'll get to grab a card from used with Taidu there.
Tidu's already on table. He's at the
Oh,
beach.
so he is.
He just
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, I thought he deployed him earlier. Okay.
mhm.
So, well, it might have been the only dude he could draw. So,
And it's a May, so he could have just left him in there as a card if he battled in as just another option for retrieval. But at this point, he's probably looking to just take the low destiny out so that way he clears
yep.
Erica.
And take out Erica. And there's Lieutenant
Mhm.
Blount. I think you've got to have a third person there, just so you don't end up with just one. And there's Ensign Chad Hills.
And somewhere Matt Wadden is very happy.
So short of Brian drawing a 7 for Battle Destiny, which would really ruin Mike's day, you're probably just going to end up. He loses Erica, Mike loses a dude, and Mike's got some options to fight there. Or at least not lose badly there next turn. So we did see
Um,
Brian lose one Vader Dark Lord of the Sith. The second choke Vader
so I'd have to
could
go
get
back and
spicy.
look at this. I wonder if Mike was trying to cycle back around to the barriers that he had used, and that's when the shuffle came in. Because
Could be. I mean, yeah, you'd have to look and see exactly where the
yeah,
shuffle
yeah.
happened. So let's see. I do think Mike just kind of showed he doesn't have the ability to stop the. He didn't have the ability to drop on Zuckuss, so he may end up having to eat that Zuckuss drain. Because
No,
with
he'll
Applet
move.
there, I don't think you can. I don't think you can move Hanchu and the Falcon over with Applet there.
No, I would agree with you. Because if he
You're at
drops,
8 plus a Power Destiny to 4 plus 2 Battle Destinies, and you give the first strike ping.
mhm.
If you're gonna move anyone, I think it's gonna be the transport, and that might be what happens. Is the transport goes from Scarif to Tatooine?
It flips Mike back if he doesn't have somebody involved, but he still
Well,
get
or you
brute
move
force.
Hanchu and the Falcon to Scarif first, or
Hmm.
afterwards. So we see the battle against Erica. Brian loses Prince Shizor off the top, and Mike retrieves Ezra. And Mike just draws his Battle Destiny of a 2.
Which doesn't break her immunity.
And does that ping 10 men? I don't think it does. I think it had to be a spy. Yeah, so
Mhm.
if Brian draws good here, this might be real good for Brian. Brian does not draw good. Um,
Can you
if
peel the
you're,
three?
I almost think you do.
I do too.
It kind of feels bad, but you want to keep Erica's retrieval going.
And you
You
can't peel
peel the
those two.
you peel the 3, and you say, all right, Erica retrieves. Erica needs to live for three turns.
Hmm.
Yep, and he does peel. See the Dooku from hand, Boba Fett and Slave 1 from reserve, and Aura Singh with Blaster from reserve.
Yeah,
So that other space card hurts a little bit, as I definitely see Mike move Leia's transport to Tatooine, move Han Chewie and the Falcon to Scarif,
hmm.
and
And the bad thing is that you're gonna activate down to 22. So he'll have
he'll have 4 cards
five. Yeah.
on top of that Vader,
Hmm.
which is who he'd really like to go get. Vader would be
Well,
Vader
yeah,
would be potentially real nasty.
there's just no way to get to him. So
No, not this turn.
Caesar would have been great as well.
Yeah, Caesar would have also
Yeah,
been amazing.
yeah.
So, and this is one where I think if Brian had the no escape or hadn't used Haven right away, he might have
Hmm.
lost Erica and just gone and gotten her back.
Hmm.
So he's going to have to back up Erica somehow just to get the drain. So drain a 1 at the Cantina. We see Mike lose the Jyn Erso Heroic Rebel from hand. Drain a 1 at the lower passages. There goes the other Taidu. I think Mike's correctly surmised that Brian won't be coming after him on Scarif. That beach, he's not going to the beach right now.
No.
And I'm not sure there's ever a point where he was going to go to the beach. Um,
I mean, he could park a guy in front of there since he has the Gick effect on table and but with first strike out, I mean, it's
yeah,
saving you a force.
yeah,
It's a net wash.
yeah, it's you could just lose that guy, and because first strike also gives Mike back a card, which you don't like.
Hmm.
So
But I
there's,
mean, you could also just YOLO battle someone in and retrieve and do that way. So there's Hondo Anaka.
which is just forfeit fodder to keep Erica alive. And I'm perfectly okay with that.
I
I
feel
would
like
have
I would
done
have
that the other
done
way.
the way, force him to do the out of play.
Yeah. Like I would, although Hondo forfeits for 5, which is better for keeping Erica alive.
Yeah, fair.
So the bigger problem is, where is Brian going to battle knowing he's got a 1 in there? Like, is he even going to battle with Zuckuss, or are you going to see Zuckuss move to... So, Jared, the reason
He
he didn't
can't.
do P59 to the site is the 7 side of the objective. If he targets a spy, which both of them are, Mike can just put a dude out of play to cancel the targeting. So he wouldn't have gotten the hit in there. Like, it would have forced Mike to do that, but he wouldn't have gotten the hit. And actually, that 5 for Battle Destiny. Oh, Mike got the heading back already to make it a 6, which means Hondo does not cover. And Brian's going to lose Erica. That is
And
definitely not what he wanted to have happen there.
and that was a rage snap onto Tentacle.
Yeah, I think it was. I think that was a that also might have been a I just lost the game tentacle
Hmm.
snap. Like, that's a bad bad card. And Commander Melshi died and went and got a Commander Melshi. So we do see the battle in space. So he's getting back Erica, but he's got to find a way to do something with her. And I think that P59 might have just been forfeit fodder for up in space. Brian shuffles his reserve deck. I think just trying to hope to shuffle the 1 down. Like,
Hmm.
I don't like starting this battle.
I mean, you were gonna lose force anyway.
Yeah, I guess the 5 means you cost him 1 guy. And I guess he just draws a... So he draws a 2. It's +3 from Torn
Two
Far.
from Torn and one
And
from
1 from
Ray.
Ray, yeah. So it's a...
It's a 4. So P59 would cover.
Okay, yeah, P59 will cover, which is... You're fine then. You get
And it
1 back
forces
with
Mike to have
Avlik.
another character, right?
I mean, it doesn't necessarily force Mike to have another character. Like, in fact, Mike
Oh,
just
that's right.
loses
Because from
Ray.
the because
Actually,
the ship has to
well, now
web
you're at
his.
6, which is not enough.
It just tells you he has another character.
Yeah,
I mean, if he needed to, he can will her down to that Cassian and get that, and then put one of them out of play to cancel one of the destinies
yeah,
for
but
Beef
then
Red.
you're not
So
drawing against him. Cassian's only ability 2. That'll total out your ability 6. The Ray being lost surprises me. That tells me Mike probably has another Ray in hand. And just says, fine, I'll get a use pile pull out of her.
there's that too.
So, and like, normally you'd be like, Brian needs to do what? Brian requesting a revert here.
He might want to move.
Yeah, must have been.
Yeah,
So, moves P15, or moves Forlom over with Hondo.
it's one less power.
Yeah, it's fine. And Mike plays the Antilles maneuver. And Brian grabs that and says, I don't need to give you a trackable 5. Um, then Brian's just going to draw a few. And expect he'll probably stop there, pay one to keep Applet alive,
Yep.
and then save the one to either barrier or retrieve with Applet after he eats the damage of 4 here. Brian's got to start doing some math because he needs to win by 13. He's got 24 down right now and 4 in hand. So he's got a little bit of turn to go.
I'm not sure I would have
He doesn't have a lot of force left
there unless he really loved the other cards in his hand, because then you could have lost and then gotten down to that Vader.
Yeah.
Because it would have been
it's
the stunning, the 1-over. It'd have been 2.
And Brian says he put the wrong card back, and looks like they're going to be, we'll get another revert here.
I've done that before. Like it's so close, and you click the card right next to it. So
there's a couple cards from hand, including the barrier and the Maul's infiltrator. So if we see a revert here, that'll be yep. There's the revert to before Brian used Forlom.
Yeah, because we have not seen Maul, and that's information, because now that we know he's playing Maul Infiltrator, we haven't seen Maul hit the table yet. So
no, we haven't, and that's I assume that's somebody Brian's kind of sitting on, and it's just what are you going to do with Maul?
Right, because you can't afford to keep him lose the force to cloak.
No, you're not cloaking with him, and I don't know what else you're going to do. So we see him lose Stunning Leader and Force Push off reserve to the Drain. Drain at 1 at the system. There goes the Comm Scan detection from hand.
Which you could have played to stop the Drain at the system.
How did that even...
Oh, on the flip side...
Oh, Drains can't be canceled. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... I'm like...
I think Brian thought the same thing.
Yeah, and obviously you see the WTF...
Yeah.
The what the word we're not going to say. Yeah, why didn't the Comm Scan cancel the Lone Falcon? Because the 7-sided objective says, well, Stardust on your spy. Opponent may not cancel your force drains at Battlegrounds.
Yep. I thought it had to be where you have a spy, but nope, it's just anywhere.
Yeah, that's, well, it's any Battleground. That's...
right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for a deck full of spies, they're going to be potentially draining at non-battlegrounds. Like, in this case, Brian's only got the 1 non-battleground on table. So,
and Mike says, no idea. Ha, ha, ha. He doesn't say the ha, ha, ha. I'm thinking he said that.
And there's another revert request. Because Brian probably is saying, I didn't mean to lose that comm scan. I thought it was canceling. And Brian says, I don't know why it didn't work. Now, was Mike trolling? Okay, as I say, was Mike trolling him with the no idea? Or no, it didn't work because of the objective. So Mike knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can revert. You can't cancel my drains. Alright, so we're seeing some chat. Honestly, like, Brian probably was fine with losing that comm scan. Like, you're not going to be able to use it. And there's no downside to pitching it to the drain. Like, he's not running undercover spies.
And
like, you're not killing Jin with it, and you're never going to cancel the Falcon drain. So it's.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the confusion. It probably doesn't do him any good. There's Melshi, who's going to go get another card. Maybe. Or is Melshi once per game?
No, it's every time.
When deployed, yeah.
He's the zombie.
When deployed or just lost, yeah. So I think the clock is on Brian right now. Nope, it's on.
If any of you watching are pretty good graphics people or willing to help out volunteering with marketing, that is a great or with graphics. Melshi, that is a card that would have an amazing AI if you've watched Andor. So just putting that plug out there. back to the game. Ray came down to the resistance transport as you predicted, Garrett.
Yeah. So, and I mean, Melshi having the AI, we can't take the still from Andor, so it'd have to be finding someone who
Cosplayer.
a cosplayer. But I would bet. I mean, if my knowledge of nerds and Star Wars is as deep as I think it is, I would bet there's a cosplayer out there who's cosplaying as Melshi at some point. We just need to find them and get their approval to use their art. So I know I did just see Greg Zinn posted a volunteer opportunity on the forums as well in terms of some graphics and review work.
Yeah, looking at the old Decipher images and Here Comes Sand to break up my thought. But yeah,
That's
looking,
not good for Brian up in space.
it really is not.
So, and there's the Corrin horn, so we know where
And when?
Corrin can, we know where Corrin is, so Mike can decide when Corrin comes down.
Yep. So he'll get the retrieval.
Which is fine. It gets him back the Force Lightning. You're fine with that.
Which you might pitch.
Yeah, you might actually just right away pitch as well. And Mike gets back a Ray. Oh no. Brian instead loses a 7 off the top. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And yep, Mike goes and grabs the Corrin right away off of Sand. So, and he draws a 5 that becomes a 7, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Which That's is enough to kill Applek. Well, that'll just get Applek potentially.
And there's a 6, so
it'll just get Applek, and the 6 is actually good. The 6 is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's either Ray. Well,
7 gets the ship too, by the way.
Does it? I thought Applek forfeits for 7, doesn't he? Or does he only forfeit for 6? Oh, all right. So 7 gets the ship, and now it doesn't matter. And Turin Far also apparently forfeits for 6.
Mm-hmm.
And gets to retrieve Duran. Oh no, he lost Duran Webb, and then uses Turin Far.
Yeah, because Webb with Insurrection adds +2.
Yeah. Battle just ended. May rescue. Retrieve from the last battle. Vulnerability. Less than 3. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that Beef Red's going to tilt so much as just realize the futility of his position at some point here. He just needed to know what that was, I think, to decide if he wants to battle against Hondo and Forlom. I don't know if I would.
He would have known what the destinies were when he went with Melshi.
He didn't go with Melshi. He didn't use Melshi.
Okay.
So, yep, he's just moving him away. He says, I'm not going to
pay 9 to drain for 3.
Yeah, I mean, Brian's almost got to just go at him with somebody, but, like, who are you going to go at him with that doesn't just, okay, I lose a guy, you lose whoever you came after me with? Because, yeah, paying 9 to drain is terrible. Like, the only guy he can go after him with would really be Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that runs the risk of at least forcing Mike to Hujix. Mike, looks like he had something go on at the house, gave a quick be right back.
Yep.
Got a few more viewers here while we're waiting for Mike. No one has yet tried to earn the second GEMPC pack by naming 3 of the previous GEMPC winners along with the year they won. Dan, you are exempted from that as well, given that you're the one who gave me the trivia to use. So, I mean, Mike walking away here probably gives Brian some time to hopefully settle his thoughts and see if he can come up with a win.
I mean, The only other one I know MHT won one not too long ago.
Dan started typing and then went, ah. Look, Dan, you're the one who gave me the question and the answers. There's Mike Pistone subscribing with
Tom11.
With Prime. He's subscribed for 25 months now. That means his last subscription, he got some fancy new foils from Jared.
I'm so close to my Yoda's hut.
Subscribing with Prime is a great way to support the PC. Another great way, and it's been talked about a little bit on Facebook today, the PC donation program is still in operation for 3 more days. That Darksaber box is absolutely stunning. I just got to open mine today. The box showed up on Monday, but I was out of town until this afternoon for work, so I didn't get a chance to open it, didn't get a chance to see it. I got to open it and look, and it was gorgeous. All right, so I thought Ryan activated a bunch, and then it looks like it was reverted, and then did a 4-alarm first. So, and Nick Reich subscribed with Prime as well. He just hit 36 months. Nick, make sure you email either marketing or Jared. I don't know. I just know you email somebody and tell them you made your 36 months, and that'll get you some fancy new foils. I got a whole pile of them from all the different stuff I've been doing for a while. I need to figure out.
Make your decks look fancy and pretty.
We're gonna make them shiny. I am, as I've said before, I'm basically Gollum when it comes to cards, and I like shiny things, and they're my precious, and I want them. So that's what we're gonna do. So Brian activates all but one, gives up a verify, but doesn't tell us what it is. Mm-hmm. And there's the Maul with lightsaber on the infiltrator. Does he have another guy to balance out the power a little bit? Or nope, he's just, all right, we're going to battle.
And he should know what that Destiny was because he 4-longed last turn. So I imagine It's probably a 7.
And he retrieves the Zuckuss and Mist Hunter, which is good. Mike loses the Corrin. Now, is Mike going to take the card off Sand to make sure if it's a 7 he can just lose Ray? Or, nope, he's not going to. And it's also not a 7. Actually, Mike would have known what it was because of the verify, so he would have known.
Right.
4 or 5 doesn't really matter. Mike draws a 2, which is good because it gives him the 10 men retrieval. Doesn't really matter because he with the +2 from Ray and Tornfar, he ends up winning the battle by 1. Ryan loses the barrier from used. Mike loses to Renfar.
And then do you move Dooku over? But then in the control phase, they just move one of the guys over. So I think
you were going to get drained for 2 either way.
Yeah.
The other thing would have been potentially to move you move Hondo over, you get drained for 2. Like, there was no good answer there for Brian. Like, there just was not a good... there was no way he wasn't going to eat a drain of 2 there.
So he's drawing up to 8.
Which leaves him 14 cards right now.
Right. So he'll be losing from hand, and he's going to be facing a drain of
probably 6.
2 at the beach, 6.
Like, the math is not in his favor right now.
Because Mike can activate down to either Ezra or Corrin and battle into Hondo. First strike ping.
Yeah, the math is not in Ryan's favor here.
No.
So, like, he might. Honestly, I could see him not moving. Like, drain for 4 instead of 6, and then drop a guy in front of Hondo, battle, retrieve, drop a battle with Dooku, battle in front of Dooku, and just fine, I'll
Yeah,
lose my
you're
3
not.
guys.
You have no
Oh, there's
incentive
the
not
Force
to.
Lightning. No, now the Force Lightning says you're gonna. You're not. You're not battling into Dooku. Not with that Force Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't remember if Brian had lost the second one yet or not.
No,
So
he's been using that to cycle.
yeah, I figured that's how that works. He just keeps. I don't know how many Force Lightnings he's playing, but he's always got one when he goes searching for it. Uses double back, and he retrieved the Fenton ship, didn't he? Did he lose it a second time, or
He didn't retrieve it. He
no?
didn't
He
get
didn't
down far
retrieve. He
enough to.
didn't. Okay,
Mm-mm.
I know it was the top card of his lost pile, and I thought he'd retrieved it. He must have not.
He
Didn't
retrieved
start the
down
battle
to
too.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's the Drina 1, which Phantom Menace from hand, because he can't go. He's not really able to do enough with 4 to cycle that back. And here's the Stardust ping. The fact that we did the Stardust ping first, I wonder if there goes the
Jin
turn
is about
off.
to move over.
There we go. Jared with the. I was wondering if Jin is going to move over instead and just take the Drina 2. So Jared wins the other Gemp AI pack. Jared, send me a Slack message with your Gemp name so I can get that info to Jared, the other Jared, and he will get you a Thatcher. You're the same. Your jets are dim, aren't you? You're the same. So here's Drina 2 at the vault. So, yeah, perfect. I will get you and Bill your Gemp AI packs, or I'll ask Jared to give them to you because Jared's awesome. And Mike Pistone is noticing. Yep, there's a lot of good players have won the GEMPC over the years. Brian lost Emperor Palpatine from reserve, Kylo from reserve. Brian's now down to 11 cards in reserve.
Yep. I was just about to say that. I think.
And Mike gets a 0 out of deck.
Yeah, because the other.
And Brian is. There's Luke as a co-pilot on. That barrier does.
Puts a card back.
Until it gets grabbed. That's. I think Brian is.
I think he's going to battle there anyway because the
Oh
two
yeah,
is the one card left is going to be Corrin,
it
and he'll
almost doesn't
retreat.
matter. You battle
Yeah, the game's over.
like even without the retrieval from 10 men, you're getting the first strike ping
Hmm.
as well. Like it's this is this is not the way Brian wanted to go out in the top 8, as it looks like he's probably realistically he's going to lose both games. Like I'm not sure he was going to win this game, even if this goes out.
No idea, no IDing.
Yeah, like Mike's not going to win by a ton, but Mike is going to win the game, as he just says, all right, I'm going to drop everything in my hand to keep everybody alive, and
Runs
so
away.
he's not going to battle in space. That surprises me a little bit. I think I would have battled and just said, fine, I'll lose Ray. Force Brian to have somebody in hand who can come after Luke on the transport.
Hmm.
So, and I think I would have just not done Baze. So we see the Force Lightning attempt on Melshi, and I think that'll get him. So
Yeah, that got him.
I like that because it does leave Blount alone. And if Brian's got a card in hand, it gives him a chance. Like if he's got a
Hmm.
character in hand, he can go after Blount. I think it might be a little bit of too little, too late.
Yeah.
Like Brian can cause a little bit of damage, but not enough to win the game, and he can't touch Scarif right now, and Scarif is effectively a drain of 6. 2-2-1, and then 1 to Stardust.
Hmm.
And 6-4 puts Brian under the 13 he has to win by. I mean, Brian's got 14 cards total right now. And yeah, he can lose one of those 14 by putting a guy in front of Blount, and then battle in first strike and get a card back.
I mean, if he found Choke Vader, he could go down and kill Willard at the beach, and he wouldn't have enough ability to draw Destiny. Like that's a play.
Yeah, that might be his only play. Like, and
Um,
that's not even a great play necessarily. Like, yeah, you do that, but then
because and I mean, you're still down,
yeah, and Mike just
significant amount of power, but
well, you'd get a battle destiny then. At that point, you're getting pretty
the power
close.
isn't right.
Because if you take out Willard, he's what, power 10?
No.
The commando
Power.
team
He
is
is power 12.
8, and Taidu is 3. Oh, yeah, so it'd be 12. He's 9 and
Yeah,
3.
and you take out Taidu in that scenario because he saved two. He'll
Is
know one
Taidu
of those.
also ability to? Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah, so Taidu doesn't, then you don't get the.
-1 or the plus from his
Well, Taidu's
from.
only plus to battle destiny, though. If you kill someone,
Mhm.
Taidu dies. There's
Yeah.
no battle destiny, anyways, so.
Opposite ends of the spectrum. So 7 and 1.
Yeah, that would be my guess. And that's really bad in a battle at the beach. Like, you either win the choke and die, or you miss the choke and then draw a good battle destiny and die even harder.
Mhm.
Like, I don't like either of those options. So he got his 3 drains of 1 through.
So if that's the case now, you just play choke in front of Blount, just do the one damage and then battle in space.
Yeah, I think
Well,
you play choke in front of Blount, do the 1 damage. From first strike, I mean, if you draw the 7, you force Mike to prove the Hujix.
mhm.
And I guess if you draw the 7, then all right. So he doesn't even have choke. He's like, well, Drain Pond is honestly equally
Well, he
good.
can get yeah, he can get rid of the bad destiny now.
If he shuffled, so he doesn't know what it is. Oh, peek at the top
No,
2 and
but
take 1.
Jury.
Yeah, good point. So now he knows
Yeah.
where the 7 is.
I wonder
I'll
what
give
the
him
one
13 to
was. I wonder if there
2.
was the other.
Might have been that last choke Vader.
Must have been.
He gives up a verify just to show Mike, like, oh, this is what I kept. Um,
These are two friends having fun, so this is
yeah,
good.
but I think Brian has accepted. Yep, he's not winning this. He just wants to go out on his terms,
Hmm.
and that's I respect the heck out of that. Like I like Brian. I'm not shy about saying I like Brian. I like. Okay, that
Um,
I'm not entirely sure.
Oddly enough, even if he doesn't have the Hujix and he like causes that, he still doesn't have enough cards left in his life force to win the game.
Yeah, like So we see this switch that. So Brian now has 11 cards down after the battle in the first strike. And yeah, so even if he theoretically could overflow Mike to the point of the game, he would still lose the match right now. 12 to
I
11.
won't. Yeah.
So he owes Blount and 5, and yep, there's the Hujix from hand. No surprise there. I think you got to move the Falcon. You got to move the game be canceled. Pretty sure Brian meant to hit concede. I can't envision what a cancel. There it went, Brian.
There it is. There
Yeah.
it is.
Mike says, no, I'm not going to cancel the game. So Mike Kessling does advance. He makes the top 4. He will be playing against Logan Pedig. And that's going to be a fun match. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Again, Mike Kessling wins the match, wins game 1, wins the. I think he would have won the second match either way, or the second game either way. And Brian instead conceded when it got too low for him to get out of it. Mike Kessling in the top 4. Brian Fred, another top 8 finish in a huge tournament, and well deserved, heck of a player.
Yes, he is, and he's been a great friend to a lot of people in the community. He's been helping me out a lot lately, and I know he wanted to win this one, but I know he is probably not too upset to lose to a good friend. So,
Yeah,
Mike, congratulations. Great playing today.
But Mike and Brian are 2 of the nicest people you're going to meet in Star Wars, and I think after this, both of them being good friends, being teammates, would have been very happy whoever had won.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Fred is, part of hosting the Eclipse event next week in Indianapolis. Pre-registration has closed for that, but it is still, the pre-registration, the extra prizes have closed. But if you can make it out to the Eclipse event, it's going to be a blast. There's close to 40 people signed up. Johnny Chu's coming to do on-site commentary as his children are coming to play. Johnny is Johnny might just be the new Logan's mom. Like, he's just bringing his kids to play Star Wars. Johnny's just not doing anything. I will certainly be there if you want to get an old man hug. I'm generally pretty generous with those, and we'll certainly offer them. And if I'm not old enough for you, Brian Fred will give you a hug as well. Dan will be there. You'll be there, Carl. Mike Pistone will be there. It's going to be a blast. If you're thinking about playing, you don't have decks, you haven't played in a while, and you just want to try getting back into it, I'm going to have extra decks there. Lots of other people are going to have extra decks there. There's cards available. Don't let that stop you from playing. Jerry's like, how old can you guys possibly be? Brian is 45. I am 44. He's about 8 months older than me. We figured out in Ohio. So I'm not really that old. It's just kind of a joke because I'm still a little bit older than everybody else. And I also had kids real young. So, like, I've got kids. Logan, who's in the top 4 here, I have 2 children older than Logan. So, and that definitely doesn't get pointed out every time he has a chance to.
Yeah.
So no, thanks for hanging out with me, Carl. Thanks for streaming. I look forward to seeing you next week as well in Indianapolis. That's going to be a blast. I'm so looking forward to getting to hang out with all my friends again and play. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Y'all have a great night.